Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Million Dollar Coaches Live Summit by She Rises Studios. This summit is built on the best-selling anthology project that She Rises Studios put out, where some absolutely world-class, amazing coaches were contributing to this project. We're really excited because this week is International Coaches Week, and that runs from May 11th to the 17th. Personally, I absolutely take my hat off to all coaches. Coaching is one of those professions that is so incredibly difficult to do because it takes a really special personality to be able to coach the best out of individuals. Every single high performing person has their own coach, whether it's an elite athlete, a top CEO, or an entertainer. And what I'm really excited about in this industry is that it used to be that we would go for knowledge through traditional education, and it was very generalized. But now, with the advent of all of the changes that we're going through, we're seeing a huge shift in individuals taking ownership of their own progression, their own evolution, and choosing what it is that they need and bringing in the best coaches to hone individual skills that they need. Coaching is not just encouragement, it is not just motivation, and it is absolutely not just advice. And a world class million dollar coach is going to be able to extract from you what you need so that you can rise up to the best level of yourself. The coaching industry is going global, and it is now projected to be a $5.34 billion industry. This is the time that those who are therapists who want to actually become coaches are stepping into that because they have freedom to actually make a difference. Those with expertise in so many different fields are coming in and coaching people to the next level. I am so excited to be able to introduce to you million dollar coaches within the She Rises community. Today, I want to make sure that you are not just passively watching. With any type of coaching program, and especially in a summit, it is your participation, what you put into it as to what we get out. So I'm going to encourage you, put your comments in. Connect with your friends and family. Tell them where you are. Tell them to come and join, because you are going to be exposed to the best of the best. And I want to make sure that you're able to extract all of the amazing gold nuggets that these incredible coaches are going to be able to give you. So what we're going to do today is we are going to have individual coaches come up and share their expertise with you. There will be Q&A sessions throughout the summit where the coaches will come back in. And so putting your questions, your insights, everything that you are getting out of the summit into the comments is going to allow us to create something together. And so I am so very excited that you're here with us. Whether you are watching live or you're watching in a replay, we are all in different time zones around the world, but we are all in this together. I encourage you to stay engaged and connect with each and every one of these speakers. Connect with them on social media, and the ones that touch your heart, reach out because they're here to help you. So if you're ready, I'm ready to get started with our very first speaker, who I am so honored to be able to say is not only the co-founder CEO of She Rises Studios, but I consider her a friend. Can I have Hannah Olivas come and join us?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you.
I am so excited that you are our first speaker. Let me introduce you to those who don't know you as well as I do. Hannah Olivas is an internationally recognized entrepreneur, speaker, media personality, best-selling author, and co-founder of She Rises Studios. Through global media, publishing, television, and transformational events, Hannah has dedicated her work to helping women rise into visibility, leadership, and impact while building businesses rooted in purpose and authenticity. Please help me to welcome the one and only Hannah Olivas.
Thank you. And thank you so much for hosting today. It's really good to be here. I want to really send out a heartfelt uh, cheers to International Coaches Week and for every man and woman who has stepped into that industry. And before I go into some strategies and a little backstory, I do want to transparently say I'm not a coach, but I understand the industry. I have an insane amount of respect for the individuals within the industry. And where I fit into this is I wanted to bring stories to life from men and women who are professional coaches in leadership, business, media, sports, and the list goes on and on. And so before this summit came to life, the book came to life. And so the book, The Million Dollar Coaches, Mindset, Methods, Mastery, what you're going to see and hear today is some of the contributing authors who are impeccable coaches in different niches. And you're going to have some major takeaways. But I did want to share transparently, I'm not a coach. My lane is visibility, public relations. I am a CEO, but I just love the coaching industry and see such a huge, powerful economy in there. And that's what really makes me tick and why I wanted to bring the book to life with my business partner, co-founder, Adriana. And so unfortunately, she can't be here today. So I want to give her a quick shout out and say thank you for helping bring this to life and being a part of this. And we hope you feel better. So I don't want to give you another motivational speech. In fact, I think the whole world is motivated. But I do want to give you some true strategy, some truth, and I want to give you real conversation that most people in the coaching industry are too afraid to have publicly because the coaching industry is exploding. But as quick as it is exploding, so is burnout, and so is confusion, so is performative success. And so coaches are making content every single day while secretly struggling financially behind the scenes. And so sometimes coaches need strategists. And so one of the reasons this summit matters to me personally is because people are hungry for something deeper than inspiration. They want sustainability. They want the systems. They want the real strategy. They want to know, how do I build $1 million coaching business without losing my mind, my marriage, my time, my mission, or myself? And I am definitely someone who I haven't lost my marriage, but there were times when I experienced burnout, overwhelm, loneliness, wondering what's working, why something else isn't working, all the questions, the $1,000,000 questions. And so I've lived this. I have built while I've been sick. I have built during grief. I have built while struggling on so many levels in so many different areas of life. I've built in fear. I have built through what I call the storms of life. And while trying to build, trying to lead teams, raising children, managing businesses, navigating health, carrying pressure, still somehow, even I am held to a standard to show up with excellence. And so I want to talk about what excellence means and what building a $1,000,000 coaching business is and isn't. And I'm not speaking from theory, I'm speaking from personal experience as someone who has experienced a lot of survival of being an entrepreneur, strategist, and everything in between. And one of the first things that I want coaches to know and understand is a $1,000,000 coaching business is not built through motivation. Because we can be motivated and then the mood changes. So we always have to stick to the plan and not the mood. So it's built through identity. And most coaches are trying to build 7-figure businesses with 5-figure thinking. They want premium clients, but they still operate in scarcity mindset. They want visibility, but they continue to hide. They want authority, but they're consistently and constantly second guessing everything that they think, say, and do. They want growth while avoiding structure, and structure comes with growth and growing pains. And here's the truth nobody likes to hear. Your business cannot outgrow your nervous system. And so, yes, as a coach, as a business owner, as a CEO, whatever title you're going by, your nervous system is a big piece and fundamental factor of how you run your business. So if your body panics every time your visibility increases, if you self-sabotage every time momentum builds, if you over-explain your pricing, if you chase the validation, if you confuse being busy with being effective, you will constantly rebuild the same ceiling over your life and business again, again, and again. This is why mindset, the nervous system, is not fluff. It is real. It is not woo-woo. Mindset is infrastructure. $1,000,000 coaches think differently. They make decisions differently. They protect their energy differently. They understand that clarity creates income and confusion kills momentum. So if you are finding yourself in analysis paralysis or overthinking everything that you do, it shows up. You're either a magnet or a repellent, but you get to choose which one you are. The reason why I'm telling you this and the reason it matters is so much right now is because coaching is no longer a small industry. It's a $1 billion industry. The global coaching industry now generates $5.3 billion annually and includes more than 122,000 professionals coaching worldwide. So approximately 72% of coaches also are women. This is why I wanted the book to come out. This is why I wanted to do the summit. So think about that for a second. 72% of coaches globally are women. What are these women feeling? What are they experiencing? What are they seeing? What are they not seeing? What are they going through? What are they not going through? All of these things that I'm talking about. Women lead the majority of this industry. Women are shaping leadership. Women are healing. Women are doing business. There's confidence, emotional intelligence, visibility, transformation happening around the world through the coaching hemisphere, atmosphere, galaxy, whatever you want to call it. Yet so many of these coaches, so many of these women are underpaid, overworked, and operating without infrastructure. That is a very key component as to why a lot of women do not see their coaching business needle move. That's why this conversation is super urgent. So let me give you 7 strategies that you can start working on today. Most coaches are selling sessions. $1 million coaches sell outcomes. People want to know, what's my ROI? You have to be able to explain to them the outcome of what they're going to receive by hiring you. That is a massive difference between selling a session and selling an outcome. People are not buying information anymore. We can get information anywhere. People buy proximity, clarity, speed, confidence, transformation, implementation, leadership, and emotional safety. So that means your messaging matters more now than ever. Your positioning matters more than your logo. And your ability to communicate transformation matters more than how many hours you work. One of the biggest mistakes I see coaches making is they focus on perfection. They're trying to sound intelligent instead of sounding clear. They try to use big words. They want to compete with people that they don't even need to compete with. So clarity converts. If people do not understand who you help, what problem you solve, what transformation you create, and why you are different, they don't buy. One of my biggest things that I have said and teach is be the disruptor. Be the impactful, loud disruptor in your niche. You can be a positive disruptor, but say and do the things that most don't. That is one of the clearest ways to open up a road and a door that you never have to close again. You don't need to blend in. You need to stand out. $1 million coaches simply, they don't try to impress everyone. They start building authority through specificity. I can't even say the word, but basically they're honing in on their niche, and that's that they own the lane. They don't try to coach every single niche in person because we all have a unique talent, right? And so we own that lane. We own that talent. We own that space. And that's where we stay. That's where we grow. That's where we thrive. That's where we scale. Strategy number 2, build an ecosystem, not just an offer. This changed everything for me. And we hear the word ecosystem all day long, just like we hear the word bottleneck. But in ecosystem, most coaches are building one income stream. $1 million coaches build ecosystems. So what does this mean? It means businesses cannot only rely on one offer, one launch, one platform, or one audience. You need layers. An ecosystem is layers. So in my ecosystem, I have books, podcasts, magazines, summits, media, public relations, events, partnerships, TV, memberships, collaborations, networking ecosystems, because visibility compounds. So one podcast interview becomes social media clips, authority positioning, lead generation, partnerships, speaking opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. So take this recipe and put that into your uniqueness and move it and create your ecosystem, because most people create content once and then they let it die. $1 million coaches repurpose everything. They're not always reinventing the wheel. They think like media companies. That is one of the biggest secrets in modern business. The coaches who win in the next decade will not just be coaches. They will be media brands. Strategy number 3 is visibility is the new currency. And I know you hear this all day long, probably too more than you care to hear it. But let's be real for a second. There are incredibly talented coaches that no one knows exist. And there are less experienced coaches making millions because they mastered visibility. That may frustrate you right now, but the truth is, if nobody sees you, nobody can buy from you. So what is visibility? It's speaking, podcasting, strategic collaborations, public relations, social proof, stages, partnerships, media features, storytelling, and most of all, consistency. And no, visibility is absolutely not vanity. Visibility is access. Visibility creates proximity. Proximity creates trust, and trust creates revenue. But here's where most coaches kind of get it wrong. They post randomly. There's no strategy in the post. $1 million coaches create intentional visibility. Every piece of content should do one of four things: build trust, establish authority, create emotional connection, or move people toward action. Everything else is noise, it's chatter. Strategy 4, stop undercharging because you're afraid of rejection. This one is a big one. Everyone thinks that they have to do a freebie or they have to give a discount. You devalue you and the work and the time that you've put in, especially women. Women have been conditioned to believe pricing themselves powerfully makes them greedy, and it does not. So they over-deliver, they overwork, and they undercharge. But the real truth here is cheap coaching often creates cheap commitment. People protect what they invest in, and pricing is positioning. So if there's any takeaway that you hear today, I'm not saying charge high prices without integrity. I'm saying build offers that create real transformation and price them according to the value that they provide. $1 million coaches do not charge for time, they charge for transformation. And transformation changes lives. Strategy number 5, very important. Health and wealth have to be married. So your body is your business asset. This one kicked me in my own asset. The lesson of physical health, I cannot stress to you enough. You cannot build a sustainable, successful business while destroying your health. So burnout is absolutely not your badge of honor. Exhaustion is not your proof of purchase. $1 million coaches build recovery systems, boundaries, support teams, sustainable schedules, nervous system regulation, and energy management, because wealth without health is just another form of poverty. And your body carries your vision, so protect it. Strategy number 6, collaboration scales faster than competition. This one is a big one, and this is why I built the Sheconomy. I became exhausted beyond words watching myself and women compete for scraps, literally, instead of building tables together. And the coaches who will dominate the next decade understand something important. Collaboration expands faster than competition ever will. Strategic partnerships can do in 1 year what isolation cannot do in 10. So stop being worried and start collaborating. Stop competing. $1 million coaches build partnerships, affiliate relationships, media relationship, referral ecosystems, collaborative events, strategic rooms. In other words, they share the stage and the space and the microphone, and they stop trying to do everything alone. Isolation is very expensive. It's very costly. And last but not least, you definitely need infrastructure before you need more followers. So strategy number 7, everybody wants to go viral. Few people build back-end systems. If your business grows tomorrow, can your system handle it? Can your onboarding handle it? Can your team handle it? Can your customer experience handle it? $1 million businesses are built through infrastructure, not chaos. So what does this mean? Automation, email systems, client journeys, follow-up systems, sales processes, team support, reoccurring revenue models, structure that creates freedom. So the real truth about mastery, it's not perfection, it's consistency and emotional regulation. Mastery is making decisions while you're scared, leading while you're healing, and continuing to show up even when things are hard. It's not luck, it's not algorithms, it's not magic. It's consistency. So I hope today what I shared with you brings it home and really opens up the thought process for you, because these 7 strategies are what I live, eat, and breathe daily. It's not perfect, but it's progress. I also built one of the largest ecosystems called the she economy. This ecosystem took off faster than I ever imagined. And I'm the proud mama of the she economy and all of the coaching industry leaders, media industry leaders, and everyone in between. And so today, I hope that you hear what I shared. And more importantly, the women who are coming in next to speak have all lived experiences and have impeccable stories and strategies and nuggets. And so these summits are impactful, they're filled with education, but you can learn, you can be the sponge and be the sponge, or you can be the sponge, take what you've learned and implement it. So come and build with us, come and scale with us, come and lead with us, because the future is not going to be handed to you. There is no perfect opportunity, but there is an impeccable ecosystem that I would love to invite you in, and that's the she economy. So my name is Hannah Olivas. I am the CEO of She Rises Studios and the creator of the she economy, and it was great to be here today.
Wow. I don't know if anyone, well, nobody could see me in the background, but I was doing happy dance with every single one of the things you were talking about. And can I say that I am so excited that you were talking about the business of coaching, not just coaching strategies, because this is a major business.
It's huge. And so I just want to see, more men and women standing in their power and understanding what their talent and capabilities are and implement them.
Before I let you go and bring on the next speaker, can I just ask how you see coaching in the economy and what is happening globally?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the coaching business, is $1 billion business. So in the economy, imagine bringing in all the different types of coaches, the different industry, and the men and women who aren't in the coaching space, they merge. Because truth be told, everyone needs a strategist, a mentor, a coach. You cannot build businesses without support, without help, right? So this is why the coaching business is that $1 billion business. So there's men and women who need the coaches. And so when those worlds collide and merge, you see an entire level up in both ecosystems under one main ecosystem, which is the she economy. The coaches get new clients, and then new clients get to finally build a structured business the way that they want, because they've hired the right coach, strategist, or mentor.
Yes.
So it's a marriage.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Hannah, and I can't wait to have you back for the Q&A.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to bring on our next speaker. Can I have Jen Wrigley come up and join? Hello, Jen. Welcome to the $1 Million Coaches Summit.
Hi, Kathy. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to hear all the wisdom that you're going to share with us. Let me formally introduce you to everyone here at the audience. Jen Wrigley is a TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and internationally recognized leader in women's empowerment and helping coaches build their business. As the founder of Flourishing Over 50, she has inspired women worldwide to heal from adversity and rediscover joy with her Flourish Journey framework. Today, she'll be speaking on Build a Coaching Business that Supports Your Dream Life. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you, Kathy. Should I just jump right in? I guess I will. So as Kathy mentioned, I'm Jen Wrigley. I am the founder of Flourishing Over 50. And we are talking today about the Million Dollar Coach's book. And my particular chapter is building a coaching business, but really building a business that supports your dream life. And I want to start off from the very beginning, because I know some of the people watching or listening today might be tiptoeing into the idea of being a coach, or you know in your heart that coaching is for you. And first, right off, I just want to tell you something that my mentor, Jen Pasteloff, who's a best-selling author of The Proof of Life, I was on a retreat recently with her, and she said to all of us in the room, "You are your own permission slip." And that just struck a chord with me. And I realized this was me when I first started out. And I know many women who might be thinking about a coaching career are looking around, tiptoeing around it, and not really sure. They think they might need permission, or they're waiting for someone to give them permission. So I just wanted to open this up by saying you don't need permission. The only permission you need is yourself. You don't have to ask anybody else if it's okay to invest in yourself. You get to decide that for yourself. And part of the reason I talk about this is because when we talk about building a $1 million coaching business, there's some meaning behind that. And we're not here just to say, let's reach $1 million in sales. All of the women speaking to you today, and a little bit about what Hannah just talked about, it's about creating a $1 million business to support your dreams. Because why else would you do this? You'll find out as we go through these sessions today, it's not necessarily the easiest path, but it is a path to freedom. So as you think about your coaching business or getting started in a coaching business, I want you to first focus on the dreams for your life and for your family's life, because that will actually set the foundation for a lot of what you're going to do. So what's really important, and Hannah talked about just the whole process of sales and all of this, and I'm going to talk more about that. But your dreams, whatever those dreams are for you, they can't come true unless you build a business that funds them. So as Hannah talked about, and I know some of the other coaches today will, you have to have revenue as part of your coaching business, because that's what you're here for. You are here to support that dream that you have in your life. And so again, the book isn't just about reaching $1 million in sales. It's about building a coaching business that supports your dream life, your family's dream life. And once you've given yourself permission, the very next step in building out your coaching business is not your funnel or your product or your follower account, as Hannah mentioned. It really is all about your personal brand. And I want to take just a few minutes to talk about when I started off. If you looked at my website today, Flourishing Over 50, I have a beautiful website. I have a very nice logo, and it's very pretty. I spent a lot of time coming up with the logo and the colors and the branding and the website, but I had no income coming in. And I want to be clear for all of you that are watching on social media, looking at other coaches and looking at what could be. I want you to know that often what is looking so successful on social media is hiding the fact that a lot of those companies have no revenue, or those companies have a lot of revenue. They could have millions of dollars in revenue, but they're not bringing home any income, because oftentimes to get that revenue, if you're not building your business the right way, is you have to run ads, and lots of ads, and those are very expensive. So many of us focus on building the structure of the business first, which, as Hannah mentioned, is critical, but not first. What you need to focus on first is your why, your passion, your audience, and how you are going to be of service in your world. And that is the foundation for everything going forward. Now, if you are an established coach joining us today, I want you to think about what I'm going through today and see if you've done all these fundamentals. And especially if you're struggling with your business, go back and look at the things that we're going to talk about today and see what you can bring into your business to make it go from not having an income to really supporting your dream life. Hannah touched on this next statistic, but I don't know that you would realize this. Over 4.5 million people on LinkedIn list coach in their title. And in the US, over 30,000 people have life coach as their title. So how do you rise above the noise? How do you stand out? And how do you compete in that marketplace? It is all about creating a personal brand, but a personal brand that is deeply rooted in your story and your experience. So let's just stop there for a minute and think about, what is a brand? A brand has a lot of different meanings to different people, but a brand is simply what people think about when they think of you. And I actually like to add to that, your personal brand is how people feel when they interact with you. And that is so important because in coaching, you are the product. People aren't buying programs, courses, Zoom links, or logos. They are hiring you. That's why personal branding is so important. Let's talk a little bit about building a personal brand. What is the foundation of a personal brand and how can you start to build it out? It's actually very simple. So there's two concepts that I want you to think about. The first is, why are you doing this work? So I call that your why. And the second is, who do you want to serve? So those are the two main things that I want you to think about. Why am I doing this work? And who am I going to serve? So one of the things to think about is, when you think about why, what does that mean? The why is your emotional messaging, and that will begin to underpin your brand and your messaging. And so for those of you that have started your coaching business and aren't being successful in the way you'd like to be, I want you to really think about that. Does your brand and does your messaging really support what you are trying to do? And then to get to some of that, it's really important, just start asking yourself questions. If you're like, well, how do I figure out my why? Start asking yourself some questions about, what challenge or hardship did I overcome that now fuels my passion to help others? What transformation did I experience that maybe I could guide others through? What accomplishments did I achieve? Or for example, if you have other clients that you have testimonials from, what impact do you want your work to have on the lives of others? Those are all things that will really lead you to your why. One of the things that I really encourage coaches to do as well is to create something called a story bank. And one of the things that I talk about in my article and when I speak about personal branding is how you can leverage AI. But I really want you to leverage it in a focused way and in a way that lets you stay true to your why, your who, and your messaging. But when we talk about your story bank, this is a great opportunity to use AI. And a story bank is just thinking through things that have happened in your life or stories that you've heard that can help build out your messaging. And as you begin to build those stories in, you're no longer selling a coaching product. You begin sharing a mission that people want to be a part of. You're able to show your story, and that way, the person listening to your message begins to see themselves in your story. That's how they know you are the coach that they want to work with. And when you've identified some of your stories, Then you can mine them for gold in AI. And AI can actually help you explore different angles of your story, different applications for your story. So that's just a little tip for you to think about. Once you've started focusing on your who, next, I want you to think about, or your why, I want you to think about defining your who. And if you're in this business, you've heard this as who's your target audience, who's your client avatar. But what I want you to focus on is who the person is that you were really meant to serve. This isn't that hard to figure out because typically the best person for you to serve is that person you used to be. You want them to see themselves in your message. That's me. She's talking to me. And the best way to do that is by sharing your stories so they see that you've gone through some of the same things that they're dealing with right now. And you're able to show them how they can come out on the other side. Again, you can use AI to help you with your ideal client, but only after you've identified at a higher level who that person might be. So let me give you a really great example of that. So Kathy is a client that I worked with, and she was struggling in her coaching career. But when I asked her who she was serving, her answer, and this is an answer I hear a lot, something along the lines of, well, I help women find balance. That is why her message wasn't resonating. But when I talked to her at a more deeper level, what's the story behind your why? Then she talked about all the sacrifices she had made in her health and her marriage and how she struggled. And we were able to glean out of that a very crystal clear. I help corporate women in their late 30s and 40s who were succeeding professionally but losing themselves personally, the exact woman she had been. And that's how she was able to really understand who her target audience was. So if you're thinking about starting a coaching business, I want you to think about your why and your who. And if you've already created a business, I want you to think about, do I really have that clear? Because again, the reason we're all here is to really create the life of our dreams. And the only way we can do that is if we have a business that funds that. I'm Jen Wrigley, the founder of Flourishing Over 50.
Thank you, Jen. I absolutely loved your concept of a story bank. I've never heard anyone refer to that before. Can you explain how a story bank could be created? Is that something we do with memory jogging or?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question. Yes. So the way you start off a story bank is some stories are going to come to you at night. They're going to come to you in the shower. You just start thinking about your life. But what you do is you can use a Google Sheet, an Excel spreadsheet, use your notes app. Because believe it or not, sometimes I'll be driving. And then I don't do it when I'm driving, but I pull over. I just put on the voice memo on my phone, and I will talk about a story because things will come to you out of the blue. But I want women to know every little story could be important. So you don't start right away saying, oh, this is my story and this is how I'm going to message it and this is the meaning. You just start putting down all those stories, and then things come to you like, that's right. I had that story about the time when I, for me, one of them was when I got my cancer diagnosis, and I just voice memoed when I was in the room, and the nurse came in, and I just, like voice vomited the whole story. So it's just getting it out, and then as you go to create your messaging, you can go back and look at those stories.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I am sure that's probably going to be some of the questions we're going to talk about in the Q&A. So I can't wait to have you come back and dive deeper into that. Thank you so much for being a major contributor to the $1 Million Coaches. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise here at the summit.
Thanks, Kathy.
And now it's time to bring on our next speaker. I'm so excited to introduce you to Megan Dirks. Can Megan come up and join us? Hello, Megan.
Hello, Kathy. Thank you for the intro, and hello, everybody watching. It's very exciting to be here today.
Absolutely. Let me quickly introduce you to everyone watching, and then we'll look forward to hearing all your pearly words of wisdom. Megan Dirks is a strategic brand partner and coach who blends mindset and design to help coaches build bold, authentic brands that attract aligned clients and sustainable success. Thank you, Megan, for being with us. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. So I do want to jump in on a topic that I could go all over the place with this today. And there's already so many great things that have come out of Hannah and Jen. Jen referencing the fact that everything around a brand could look very luxury and could look very successful, but often isn't generating real revenue is something that I'd love to dig deeper on as well. I want to start off though, because so many of us are in positions where we are trying to balance health, finance, family, all of the things. And we all get very focused on the business part. And we all know that health is the most important at the end of the day. So I know we have our own Adriana out and could not be here today because she is actively practicing taking care of her health and making sure she is okay. So I wanted to honor her though, because I do have my paper copy here today, and I wanted to take just a minute to read a passage from her contribution to this book. And I kind of go through these. I have my personal copies of a lot of books I love, and I go through with a highlighter on all the parts that are my favorites. So I think it would be cool to take a moment and just read my favorite passage from Adriana's chapter, because I think it would resonate with whatever she would have said here today and shared with you all. So she starts with saying, most coaches self-abandon in the name of growth by saying yes when their body, mind, and intuition are saying no. They ignore burnout signals. They overextend themselves. They dilute their message to stay relevant or visible. In doing so, they slowly disconnect from the very thing that made their work powerful in the first place. Growth without alignment eventually leads to resentment and exhaustion. The boundaries that protect my energy, creativity, and clarity are intentional and non-negotiable. I protect my health, my time, and my mental space. I no longer entertain chaos disguised as urgency. I delegate where needed, create clear lanes of responsibility, and step away from situations that drain more than they build. These boundaries are not walls, they are filters. And I love this so much because it's something we talk about all the time, but even in the coaching space and with the women that I've met, it can be very hard to actually implement and execute those things. And I am absolutely guilty of that as well. So I wanted to take a second and just shine a bit of a light on that, because I feel that's one of the ones that we could all do to practice a lot more in our real life. We love the business part. There's a huge AI part right now, and a lot of it is just boiling back down to humanity. If I see another coach telling exhausted women to wake up at 5 a.m. and optimize harder or set more goals, it's possible I could float out of this chair. And it was mentioned today already as well that the coaching industry doesn't have a motivation problem. We are well motivated. We are aspirational, inspirational, fully 100% inspired and ready to go most of the time, because it's very aggressively marketed at us. And I think the thing worth taking a beat there is that we do have a humanity problem now. And I want to go into a little personal story about me too. I have an extensive health journey. I jumped into coaching in 2020. And when I did, when I was entering the industry, it was from a desire to want to stay around people who were into self-development, who were immersed into wellness and moving forward, having healthier relationships, all of it. And if you had to find somewhere to hang out, the coaching industry seemed like a really great growing spot at the time. But also at the time, I was considering pursuing it as a full profession. And there wasn't as aggressive moderation or governing bodies that we do have today that are stronger enforced with credentials through places like the ICF or the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaching that do exist now. And there are salaried career paths for coaches that often require those credentials now. But when I was getting into things back then, it was a lot of very Instagram sales focused guru culture. And I remember kind of getting ready to dive in and trying to find a program that would give me a certification that would actually be meaningful in some way and make sure I didn't end up in the pile of like guru auto filtered people, because you look at them and you know that the core skills are not often there. And that could go into a whole bigger conversation around ethics. But ultimately, I picked somewhere that I felt was ethically aligned, gave me real enough credentials to start, had a clear path to take me further into the work if I wanted to. And I did that work. And 5 or 6 years later now, I noticed that we do have still an ethics problem for sure. There are still a lot of luxury branded coaches that are not delivering on results or even have core coaching skills in terms of basics, even verbal backtracking, mirroring and matching people, all of these things that we start out with. And I think at this point, what I see a lot is more women being willing to invest on a higher level because their energy and their health and their time is a lot more important to them. And that shifted for me over the years too. I used to be the person starting out that had no capital. I'd sign up for the freebie and then unsubscribe from the list because that's how I had to get my resources at the time. And now over the years, I've thankfully grown into a space where I would much rather drop a couple grand and get very laser focused, efficient training and teaching on whatever my blockers are to get unblocked and keep moving along. So I think that's something we all kind of grow through in the chain of developing our career, developing our practices, and everything that kind of comes with that. Because realistically, where we're at right now, we still have an intersection of the coaching industry being on this huge statistical upswing. And we also have consumer and audiences on a massive trust downswing at the same time. So at some point, those are going to intersect awkwardly. So as it was mentioned earlier today already, we are in a space where we need to keep the humanity and we need to keep the trust. And it's true. The women that come into the Sheconomy project for Hannah know, like, trust Hannah. Absolutely. And anybody that comes through Jen's practice knows, likes, and trusts Jen for the most part, whether they already knew her from pre-existing networking or conversations, or even if someone finds me organically, they have to go through the process of judging me, deciding in their consumer brain if I am trustworthy, and then deciding to book a call or a conversation and actually go deeper. So it's really interesting to see how that's kind of trickling down, because what I've noticed is there's not a lot of, how do I word this right? There's not a problem in any shortage of coaches. We know that. They're growing rapidly. But there is a big gap in terms of the ones that have talent, and there's many that do, and the ones that are making actual revenue. And I've seen friends come and go into this industry that have come in, had insanely good coaching skills and had it very naturally and could go very deep and can do just the best 10 to 15 minute laser coaching that I've seen in hot seat situations. And they're out of business, which blows my mind and brings it back to the personal branding component, the visibility component, where at the end of the day, the person that can present themselves better, present themselves clearer, is going to be the one that stays in business and keeps their doors open. So while that is sad, it is also just a truth at the same time. So we have designed the industry, unfortunately, 5 or 10 years ago, as we were all getting started, to have it be focused reward-wise on looking successful more than actually being effective. And now over the years, we've seen the way that's been filtered out. And we see the way that that affects people. And unfortunately, really amazing practitioners are taken out of the game for it because they don't know how to wear those hats or they didn't have the right mentor. Another really big thing for me in this space is when someone says they did that work already. That is a huge red flag for me, and my feelers go up right away because we all know that transformation is never done, and growth work is never done, and self-development is not done. So there's definitely like the idea of that. I was always taught every coach should have a coach and you will always need a coach. So when I meet coaches that don't have coaches, that scares me because my first thought goes to, why would I be associated with you? You're not working on yourself, and that will trickle down. So in a perfect world, I would love to always have a coach. I would love to always have a therapist and whatever other practitioners you need to support you as well. But those are definitely awesome core starts. And I get excited when I have a coaching client that has all of those pieces in place, which is really hard still for a lot of women to justify and do in their mind as we switch our mindsets to reinvesting in our health and our nervous system regulation and all those great things more often. But the last thing I kind of want to touch on, because I could go on here for a really long time, is the amount of things that people want right now are, again, becoming a lot more human. We want nuance, we want consistency, we want philosophy, different perspectives, emotional intelligence, actual depth to our conversations. And a lot of people that are consumers, people that needed therapy, people that needed mentorship or community, they got sold a really, really pretty marketing funnel. And they were sold like a Lamborghini experience instead. And the good news is about all of this for the stats and the direction that coaching is still growing into is that everything we can do as coaches to grow and expand our business, if you're an aspiring coach or if you're in your year 1 or in your year 0 hoping to hit your first 6 figures, all of those things we're talking about in ecosystems, podcasting, speaking, authorship, storytelling, panels, live events, you name it, all of the things are very, very compatible with what you're building. So I hope women get more comfy putting on the business hats and exploring those things, because I first told myself as well, I can't be a podcast host. That's not me. I can't speak on stages. That's not me. And at this point, there are core parts of my business that have to exist for my growth, and also the growth of our community, and also the trickle down that comes from all of that. So when we talk about making these ripple effects, we really do need to come at it from the core of where we started and with what we're doing within ourselves. Because in my opinion, the next generation of coaches that are coming up, they're not going to win by posting more consistently or making the prettiest graphics or because they're being louder. They're going to win because people finally trust them again. Because the word coach already has a stigma, and it has for the last couple of years. So keeping the growth of the industry intact while getting a wrangle back on the definition of what that word and job even is something I hope we all really move a lot more into. So for now, I'm going to leave you with that because I could keep going, but I am at time. And I hope everybody finds an amazing, healthy coach that works for them in their life. Thanks. I can also entertain you as we transition.
We had a little technical lag there. Thank you so much, Megan. I loved how you talked about humanity and connecting that with ethics as well. The other thing that I thought was absolutely amazing, and I want to talk about humanity and ethics when we get into our Q&A, but the other thing I really liked you talking about is how having a coach have their own coach adds to the belief in what the industry is instead of that, and it ties back to humanity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I had one quick stat I want to squeeze in real quick because we've had some amazing stats. And I dug up the stats from 2020 when I first got in the industry. So this is going back 5 years. I found an ancient email that back then was saying by 2032, coaching was projected to hit 11.7 billion. Now we're only about halfway through that, but I know we are near the halfway point of that for sure. So it's been true and on track. And at the time back then, we were valued at 2 billion in 2020 when I first entered. So that's just crazy. And there's more cool stuff there for Q&A, but thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I can't wait to dive deeper when we get into the Q&A. Hasn't this been absolutely amazing? We've had 3 amazing speakers and we're not done yet. Our next speaker, I can't wait to introduce you to Dr. Fratonia Pollins. Sorry, you need to help me with that. I've never pronounced your last name before.
So it's Frantonia Pollins.
Okay, perfect. I'm so excited to have you here, and I am going to introduce you to our audience and then send you away. Dr. Frantonia Pollins is a transformational business profit strategist, life coach, wealth consciousness mentor, and a visionary leader, helping women entrepreneurs build identity-aligned million-dollar businesses. Through her powerful blend of wealth consciousness, strategy, and transformational leadership, she empowers women to expand their self-concept and create businesses rooted in purpose, alignment, and legacy. Today, she's going to be speaking on $1 Million Air by Design, how to build an all-ticket ecosystem that creates peaceful profits. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be on this stage with such powerful women and to be a participant in this amazing anthology. So a lot of what I was going to share has already been covered. So I'm looking through my notes, looking at things that I can move past so that I can get into the meat or the core of what I want to talk about. Again, my talk today is called Millionaire by Design. And very specifically, I spell millionaire, MILLION-HEIR. And the reason that I do that is because that I believe that as business owners, particularly women business owners, participating in helping other people grow their businesses, that our primary focus within our businesses, after we have covered all the amazing things that have been covered already, has got to be profit. And what I mean when I say profit, the way that we talk about it over here at the Millionaire Group, it is profit so that you can leave a multi-generational legacy of wealth. I want you to hold this in your mind as I proceed through my talk. There are people who have transitioned, people like Jim Rohn, people like one of my favorites, Dr. Stephen Covey, or Wayne Dyer. We are still investing in their intellectual property, and their families are still benefiting from something they created once and that is still being sold. So we're going to dive into how you as a coach can create an ecosystem of all ticket offers that will allow you to do the same thing. So very specifically, if you are a coach, I want to just jump in and let you know I'm a truth teller. Some of what I say today may cause you to clutch your pearls, but I think in order to move past these places where so many of us women coaches are stuck, sometimes your pearls have got to be clutched. Okay? So you are not here to build a really pretty hobby and call it a coaching business. If it does not make money, it is a hobby. If it does not sustain you, it is, and sometimes it can become a very expensive hobby. Okay? So I want to really speak to the part of you that knows that you're here to do something greater, to do something more, and to let you know some of the reasons that often we get stuck. The dismal amount of women entrepreneurs who in the US who earn over six figures is shocking. It is absolutely shocking, the very small number of women who earn six figures. The number of women of color, particularly Black women, who earn six figures a year is even more minuscule than that. Those statistics can be found, of course, on the internet. The last time I looked, the average annual income for the majority of women entrepreneurs who are working their businesses full time is less than $40,000. And for African American women, that number falls less than $20,000. Now, sit with those numbers for a moment, because a lot of what was said before is that in the coaching space, particularly, we have been taught, and this really got ushered in during the pandemic. I've been in the coaching space since 2000. I got my very first coaching certification in 2000. And at that time, the only people that had coaches were athletes. The only coach anybody had ever heard of was Tony Robbins. And so it wasn't what it had, the industry that it has become today. But based on the number of people you see online, based on the numbers that have been shared before, people who say they are coaches, and the number of women entrepreneurs that we know exist, that number is not making sense. All of the hustling and the working and the posting and the, speaking and the showing up at networking events, all of those things that are being done by women, and the number of the amount of money that is being brought in by our businesses, there is a huge disconnect somewhere. And what I want to say to you is the number one disconnect is that oftentimes we think that our income ceiling is a matter of business strategy. It's a matter of the external things, the way our website looks and our offers and things like that. It is not. What I have found in the 26 years that I've been working with and coaching women entrepreneurs is the number one reason that our income ceiling is what it is that somewhere within ourselves, I want y'all to take a deep breath. Somewhere within ourselves, we've decided, based on our current self-concept and identity, that the level of revenue we're currently achieving, we unconsciously have decided that it's enough. I know that can sting, because you're looking at the money that's coming in compared to the bills that you have to pay, and you know that it's not enough. Externally, you know that. If you're looking at the numbers of the amount of the bills you have and the amount of money you're generating in your business, externally, you know it's not enough. But somewhere internally, based on the self-concept and identity you've created for yourself, you have decided that that number is enough. And the first step to moving beyond that is for you to do the inner work. I base my business on two solid philosophies. Number one, the inner work will always precede the outer result. You have to become a six-figure business owner internally, in your mind, in your self-concept, in your identity. You have to become $1 million business owner internally before you will ever see it externally. That means that you've got to work on yourself, your beingness, your identity, how you move through the world within your sovereignty, long before you work on the branding and the external business. Your income cannot grow past your self-concept. Your income will never grow past your self-concept. So we've got to get busy doing the inner work. If you've been in your business for a substantial amount of time, here's what I'm here to tell you. The entire world has changed. So the business that got you to where you are now may not be the business that will get you to your next level. It may not be the business that'll add your next six figures. It may not be the business that'll take you to your first $1 million. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of the actual business. I'm saying examine the business model. I am saying examine the ways that you are doing things. Examine the ways you're marketing. Examine the ways you are prospecting for clients, generating leads, interacting with your team. Examine the way you've been doing things. Is it rooted in an identity that was based on survival? Because as Hannah said earlier, a lot of us built businesses because we were in situations where we had no choice but to figure some stuff out. Right? If we've been paying attention to what's going on, we've got about 500,000 African-American women who have recently lost their jobs. And so those women, if they jump into the entrepreneurial space, as a lot of folks did during COVID, most of them are going to be diving in based on survival. And survival will get you to a certain level, but it won't grow you to a sustainable business that helps you leave a multi-generational legacy of wealth. So that's my first key takeaway. Second key takeaway. So my second philosophy is that $1 million should be the minimum goal of every woman entrepreneur. Now, I'm not saying you have to be able to make $1 million. I'm saying that within your mind, infused in the self-concept that you will create for yourself, you've got to be able to see yourself generating $1 million in revenue in one calendar year. But I'm going to take it easy on y'all today. I'm just going to talk to you about what it looks like and the strategies I teach my clients for making your first 100K. Okay. Making your first or your next 100K, I use a framework called the 100K SLAY. And SLAY is an acronym. I'm going to walk through what that stands for. The S is for strategy. The L stands for leverage. A is acceleration through automation. And then the why, which is the most important part, is you. Your strategy for showing up, your strategy for going to the networking events, your strategy for even attending this summit and showing up here today. You need to tie that strategy to one of your already predetermined outcomes or goals. If I'm going to get up, get dressed, drive across town and go to a networking event, I need to go in there with a strategy that networking event leads to connections with people, possible collaborations, opportunities to sit down with people who are in a like-minded, who are also on a trajectory toward growing themselves and their businesses. A lot of times we show up and the strategy is not predetermined and it becomes a social event. Not to say I don't like social events, but when I'm in business mode, I got enough friends. I'm not here hobnobbing, cocktailing. I live in Vegas. Every networking event turns to a cocktail party. I am here to strategize so that I can grow my network and my business. Okay. Leverage. Leverage means that you stop trying to grow by personally doing everything yourself. So who do you leverage, Dr. Frantonia, or what do you leverage? You leverage your expertise. A lot of us dismiss areas of expertise that we have cultivated maybe in the corporate space or in other aspects of our business. So you leverage your expertise. You leverage your intellectual property. You leverage systems and you leverage the network that you build when you are out working your strategy. Acceleration through automation. So several of the ladies here have shared that they have experienced some health challenges. In addition to health challenges, I have had, unfortunately, about 15 people to pass away that were very close to me in the last 24 months or so. Most recently, I lost 2 of my 3 brothers within 6 weeks of each other. During my periods of downtime, my business was still able to generate revenue and profit for me because of the automations and the systems that I set up a long time ago. Remember in the beginning when I said people are still paying for Dr. Wayne Dyer's products, they're still paying for Zig Ziglar's products. They're still buying my products even when I am not showing up because I am resting, I am grieving, I am taking good care of me. But that can only happen when you take the products that you've created, your content, when you as as Jen talked about, when you leverage the stories and the case studies that you've created through work with other people, utilizing automations on these platforms called social media, your income can still support you while you are taking care of yourself. And then finally, as I spoke about you are the most important component in your business. If you are not doing well, your business won't do well. If you're pouring out all of your energy, all of your empathy, all of your love, all of your attention to everyone else, and you never intentionally take a beat to pour back into you, your business will not be successful. Now, I know we hear, women were born to be nurturers. There's a whole difference between nurturing the world, being supportive and empathetic, and self-abandonment. And a lot of times in our businesses, we are so, particularly as coaches, if you are doing any of the inner work, a transformational coach or a life coach or even a health coach, oftentimes we get so invested in the outcomes that our clients desire for themselves that we don't set good boundaries and we self-abandon. I can go on and testify here for you all. During COVID, I self-abandoned. I never took a break. I jumped in and supported and helped thousands of women across the globe. And at a certain point, I hit a wall and had burnout. And so you've got to make sure that you are, as I teach in my Take Back Your Life course, you are your number one priority. Now, if that feels uncomfortable in your body, I want you tonight to just sit with that question and ask yourself, why did that idea feel uncomfortable to me? Why does the idea of setting a minimum goal of a visual goal of $1 million feel uncomfortable? Why does making it my intention to generate my first or my next 100K feel uncomfortable? Why does the idea of putting myself first feel uncomfortable? Sit with that. Ask yourself these questions. And then finally, my third takeaway is that random offers create random revenue. So as I talked about before, I utilize automations to accelerate the growth of my business. I use things like mini chat. I use things like really extensive back-end funnels in my email service program. I use what used to be called ConvertKit. And so what I teach, I hear all these arguments in the coaching space, high ticket versus low ticket. And I sit back and look at them and I'm like, well, why do I have to choose? My ideal client is different than my target market. Okay. And I'll go deeper into this in the freebie that is being made available. But my ideal client is the client that can buy my top tier offer. My target market is the client who needs my services, but is not quite ready to invest at a higher level. So for that client, I have digital products. They can go self-guided into my digital product and do the work that helps them grow to the next level. And so I teach everything from low ticket all the way up to high ticket premium products. In my business, I have low ticket offers that range from ebook up to, a 1 hour masterclass. Then it might look like a 3 or 4 week micro course. Then we move into higher ticket group coaching. I do retreats. I do private one-on-one retreats with my clients who are ready to invest at a higher level. That doesn't mean I'm working harder. It means that whatever it is that I can offer to my highest ticket client, my premium client, I can find a version of it to offer to my lower ticket client. I'm going to give you guys an example and then I'll be complete for today. Dr. Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. When that book came out, I'm just going to be gracious and say maybe they were selling that book for $20. Dr. Stephen Covey then went on to create, this is how old I am, he went on to create a cassette, they call them eggshells. He put the book on cassette. Our version of that today would be Audible, but that book is on cassette and there was a little workbook inside of that. That sold for about $300. And then that went to a PBS special. And that PBS special garnered him corporate clients that would either bring him in for group training one-on-one training and coaching with the executives. The prices for those ranged all the way up to 6 figures. The content of the 7 habits did not ever change. And 7 Habits enthusiasts to this day, if you ask them what is habit number 1, they will say begin with the end in mind. It didn't matter if they read the book, if they saw the PBS special, or if they were one of the people who had the honor to work with him one-on-one as an executive coach. And so what I'm saying to you all as coaches, leverage your existing products by creating an all-ticket ecosystem. This is how we are able to make sure that we are taken care of. This is how our legacy lives on long after we have transitioned out of this plane. Right? 100K being your minimum with that type of ecosystem is easy peasy. My invitation to you, like the other ladies shared, is to find a coach that can help you build that type of ecosystem, leveraged by your vision for your life. Not being dragged around by a business, but leveraged by your vision for your life, rooted in your expanded self-identity. Again, my name is Dr. Frantonia Pollins. It is always an honor for me to share with anyone, because you guys could certainly choose to be anywhere else today, but you've shown up for She Rises. You've shown up for the $1 Million Coaches Live Summit, and I am eternally grateful to have been able to serve you today.
Wow. No pearl clutching going on here. You knocked it out of the park. I am so thrilled with everything you shared, your passion, your excitement. I have so many takeaways from your talk, but before I go into that, I'd like to invite all of our speakers up so that we can do a Q&A. Audience who are watching, this is your time. I have my questions that I know I want to ask, but what questions do you want to know? What burning things do you want me to ask these incredible coaches? Make sure you put it in the chat. And so I'm going to start right with where we left off, Dr. Frantonia. You brought up something that I think is absolutely amazing. And that is creating a legacy with what you're doing. I know, I believe so wholeheartedly that it is imperative that if we keep it to ourselves, that we are being selfish. And I know Dr. Wayne Dyer always talked about that, because I have a lot of major coaches that have been in my life. So the one coach that you didn't mention that I feel is so imperative is Dr. Bob Proctor. Sorry, he's not a doctor. But Bob Proctor started as a janitor in my hometown, Toronto. And I guarantee you that when he first started on his journey, he did not know that he was going to shape the world the way he did. But he did it with such an amazing, beautiful vision of what he wanted to do. So I want to ask each one of our speakers, who was your most inspirational coach?
So I'm going to jump in and share this for you. Mine is my most inspirational coach is an ancestor. Okay. It is Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker is documented to have been the very first woman millionaire in the United States. One of the things that is very rarely attributed to her, she is also the mother of what we currently know as direct sales or network marketing, multi-level marketing. She was literally one generation out of slavery. And what Madam C.J. Walker was able to do is use her insight, her intuition, her vision that came to her through a dream, and create this incredible legacy. She was able to overcome all kinds of incredible obstacles, but that was because she kept a clear vision, a clear focus about who she was. She did not let whatever the terms of the day, the terms of, you know, what was going on historically define her. She's self-defined. And in self-defining, sometimes it will be because you're going to have to go against the grain to self-define. It's going to turn people off. It's going to make people say certain things about you. It's going to make them see you as abrasive or offensive, or because you are not following the crowd. So Madam C.J. Walker and what she was able to do and accomplish, she became my very first coach or mentor.
Oh, I love that. Who wants to share their favorite coach or inspiration? Hannah, you're smiling away. I'm going to call on you.
I'm nodding and smiling because when Dr. Frantonio was talking about her, I'm like, yep. And she never quit. She never stopped. She embraced her wholeness, her uniqueness, and everything in between. And there were a lot of people who tried to deter her. And then I was smiling because I said this when I spoke earlier, be the disruptor, the impactful disruptor. And that's what she was. So it's interesting. And I think for me, one of my favorites, and this goes back to pre-She Rises Studios, when I was working as a journeyman makeup artist and going to school. Someone said, "Have you ever heard of Wayne Dyer?" And I was like, "No." Is he a makeup artist? Is he someone in the fashion industry? And the person who asked me this was so random. And it was a one-off time that I met this individual. And he goes, "I have a gift for you." And he gave me a CD collection of Wayne Dyer. And I was like, this guy is weird. First of all, we've only just met, and he was like, something is telling me that you need to hear this. And I'm going to be transparent and tell you, I did not open that CD collection for at least another year. But when I did, it was like, boom. And then I started listening to Jim Rohn and so many others. So Wayne Dyer would be my numero uno. And Madam C.J. Walker is, I don't even have, you can't even deny her presence, period. So that would be me.
I love it. I love it. Who wants to jump in and go next?
I can
Okay, I
go.
will go, although I haven't spoken yet. Interestingly, there are two persons who impacted my coaching journey. So there was this very old guy I heard on a cassette tape. So again, we're talking about old cassette tapes. This guy named Earl Nightingale. And he would talk about the fields of diamonds and about how people would just undersell themselves and sit and wait for retirement. And listening to him, I felt so motivated. He made me feel like anything was possible. And for someone coming up in the Caribbean before I moved to the US, he was completely different from me in every way possible, except his words connected with my dreams. And so it's like he was talking personally to me. So I listened to a lot of the Nightingale tapes, and it made me feel like I can do this, I can do that. And it made me realize that action is more than just talk. Like sitting and dreaming and planning, those things are good, but you have to get up and you have to take one step forward. And then the second person that I encountered that I like a lot is this guy, John Maxwell. Maxwell has written books on almost everything. He talks about finances. He talks about dreaming big. He talks about going after what you want, and his work is very modern and translatable. And the thing is, because the clients that I see are so diverse, I can't tell them about Nightingale now. They're not going to be able to connect with that. But Maxwell is more digestible and broader. And so Maxwell has been the most modern influence that I've had. And then working with you ladies in this group, I've been personally impacted by so many of you and your writing. So y'all are my new hero coaches.
Oh, I love that. And I love the diversity of the coaches that we've got. Amy, I would love to hear from you. Who has been instrumental in you?
All of these are seriously my favorite. Like as soon as someone says someone new, I'm like, oh yeah, I love him too. Me too. But the one that I'm going to share with is not, he wasn't known as like a coach, but what he did do is interview all of these successful people over the course of 20 years and put it into a book. And the book I'm talking about is Think and Grow Rich. And Think and Grow Rich, I remember the very first time I read it. At this point, I don't know how many times I've read it. It's like the most amazing book on faith that I've ever read that's not like religious specific. But he essentially went to all of these millionaires over the course of all these years and asked them what their secret was. And it's all about the belief in yourself, the belief in what can be. And the way he delivers it, if you guys have not read it, you need to read it. But the way he delivers it truly made me think maybe I can. And I remember the very first time that I was reading this book, I couldn't go to work. At the time I was working at this engineering firm and I was really sick. I was like the person answering the phones. And I like to always do something. So I was just like laying down on my bed, which I probably should have just slept. But what I did is I picked up that book and I started reading it. I think I was like 20 years old at the time. And I couldn't put it down. And as a 20-year-old self, I remember just like looking at it thinking, maybe I can. Like maybe I can also do something like this. And I just have to have that belief. I have to have that belief and that leap of faith in the next step. And so all of these coaches that you guys have talked about are incredible. I'm like, I love them too. But the one that really has stuck with me and that I continually reread is Think and Grow Rich, because Napoleon went after all of these incredible people who've done big things. And all it comes down to is the simple steps of like put one step in front of the other and hold on to that belief that you can, because everything that's been created in the entire world was first started as a thought with the next step.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's what I wanted to share, even though all these other ones are amazing, but that truly has guided my life and helped me on this entire journey of coaching as well.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Erica, I see you nodding.
Sure. There's a few that I really love, and mine are much older too. So, Norman Vincent Peale is one of my favorites. You can, if you think you can, or As a Man Thinketh, The Power of Positive Thinking. And he also created Guidepost, and like his work first changed my life when I was a teenager. But one of my ultimate favorite is still Zig Ziglar. And one of his famous quotes are, if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. And if you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. And one of my ultimate favorite quotes of his is, you can get everything you want if you help enough people get what they want. He had such a servant leadership. I got the privilege to meet him before he passed, and in the mid 90s, I got to go do a workshop in Africa teaching on communication skills under some of the trainings and stuff we did with him through Southern Nazarene University. And it was just an honor and privilege, the servant leadership that he teaches. And that's really what we're all here. We all love people and we want to teach them with things that we've learned, because we know what it's like to have gone through that. And we want others to go through and have success with some of the tools that we've learned along the way too. So those are my favorites.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Megan, Jen, who wants to be next?
I'll jump in. So my wish for all of us and for the world really is that 5 years from now, there's a group of women just like this, and we are hearing our own names as maybe guiding a light for some of those women. But and I thought, well, I could go look at my bookshelf because I'm a big reader and I know I have lots of mentors there. But I would say more recently, the mentor and the coach who has done the most for me and made a significant impact in my life, and is really why I'm showing up today the way I am, is a woman. Her name is Sherry Salata. And she was actually the former CEO for Oprah's network and for for Oprah's talk show. And she left that business and eventually opened up her own, somewhat like a coaching, mentoring business and a writing school. And the reason she made such an impact is she wrote a book called The Beautiful No. And in that book, she talks about some of her trials in life, losing loved ones. Actually, her career, she didn't get started with Oprah until she was 34, and she had 7 different jobs before that. And she was living in her parents' basement when she got the call to take a really low-level job with Oprah. So she talks about the trials she's gone through and then how she was able to kind of build that dream life and how you can overcome challenges. And at the time that I was introduced to her, I had been through so many challenges in my life. Like we all have. I have lost several people in my life. I had mentioned earlier my cancer diagnosis, just so many things that my story was, is this all there is to life? I just was, in that type of despair, and working with her and reading that book helped me turn it around to know that we can create a new story for our lives. And almost every one of us have mentioned it's our thoughts that really drive how we show up. So that's mine.
Absolutely. Jen, you took my closing point that I was going to make, is that we are the next generation of the coaches that people will be talking about, and how instrumental a powerful coach can have on each and every one of us. Megan, could you wrap up this conversation and share who was a powerful coach in your life?
Yeah, I've got a couple, and I'm going to skip to kind of more of the less famous tier because so many amazing women and men do this work. And 2 that really made an impact on me were Carrie Peters and Stacey Morgenstern, which were the 2 founding women that ran Health Coach Institute. And that has since been exited and transformed into something entirely different, and they have made their own exits into other things. But at the time, one of them handled the woo and one of them handled the business. And it was a very clear separation. And they were the first business besties that I've seen demonstrate that actually had staying power and stayed in it for years together and complemented each other perfectly. And I know they trained at least and credentialed 36,000 plus coaches in 100 plus countries before they moved on to other things and other projects. And I remember getting to go to my first live event where I was a speaker. They were the ones that gave me my first little speaking spot and paid me $250 to go do it and covered my first hotel and all of those things. So there was so many firsts around that experience that I'm just super grateful to have had that and to have known them no matter where they are in the world and what they're up to now.
Awesome. Well, I am the host, so I'm going to share mine. My big inspirational coach and mentor was T. Harv Eker. T. Harv Eker, not only is he a Canadian, but one of the major things that he talked about is our set point. And Dr. Fertonia touched on that as well. And he equated it to a thermostat or central heating, and that when we go off of our set point, we will always return to that set point. And if we want something different, we have to raise the set point because we will automatically correct back to that. And that was a lesson that I have never, ever forgotten. I have one more question, but I think I'd like to wait for my question for the second round of Q&A. If we're all good with that, I want to thank each and every one of you. You just exemplified exactly the power of a coach and how that sticks with each and every one of us and how impactful, because I'm sure everyone who's watching is thinking to themselves, who made a difference in my life? Whether it was personal, business, whether it was somebody who was famous, or anybody else in our lives, we all touch on that. And the power of coaching is shown in this conversation. Thank you all for being so vulnerable, and we will have another roundtable when we come back after our next round of speakers. Could I have Corin stay? Hello, Corin. How are you? Oh, are you frozen? It looks like we might have a little technical issue here. Okay, well, while Corin resolves her technical issue, I am going to ask Amy Sanders to come and join me as our next speaker. Hello, welcome. Oops, I need you to unmute. You have too many pearly words of wisdom to keep it silent to yourself.
I didn't realize that. Thank you. I'm unmuted now. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you here. Let me introduce you to everybody who doesn't know you as well as I do. Amy Sanders is a best-selling author and identity pattern expert, helping women simplify, align, and scale with greater clarity, confidence, and power. Amy, I am so thrilled to have you as our next speaker. Take it away.
Thank you. So excited to be here. And I just always love it when we get to collaborate together. So I'm excited to be here. First and foremost, I want to say, wow, to all of the speakers who've gone before me. All of you guys have shared so much wisdom, and it has been truly incredible for me just to listen to you guys. And some of the stuff I'm going to say might sound similar, but I'm packaging it a little bit differently. We are going to talk about strategy and some energetics that are going to help you in your business. And what I share today is going to be specific to the person who is probably newer in her coaching business, and she is still maybe floundering a little bit. If you are under 100K a year, then everything I say is specifically going to touch you. Hope that's the plan. But the framework that I'm going to start with is that most people don't have a strategy problem. There are so many strategies that we can follow, and there are so many things that are like we are being hit with all the time. Most people in this industry, they have a fragmentation problem. And what I mean by this is that you have fragmented offers, you have fragmented messaging, you have fragmented audiences. You don't even know exactly who you're speaking to. And the most important piece that I think is overlooked more often than not is you have fragmented energy. And fragmentation is really expensive. It's what's keeping you from being a $1 million coach and keeping you at a broke coach. So we want to stop being fragmented, and I'm going to talk to you about how. Most people are trying to build like 6 businesses at the same time, and a lot of times it's within the same business, and they're wondering why they're not scaling. They're wondering why their income's not increasing. And I know this because I've lived it. I have done this better than anybody else. I used to think that success meant doing more, and I was taught from a very young age that your worthiness is attached to how much you do. And so I would create more offers. I would create more content. I would create more platforms that I'd have to be visible on. And I would get more certifications. Fun fact about me, to just tell you how good I was at doing this, is I started in the fitness world. I still very much love the fitness world, but instead of getting 1 bachelor's degree and maybe 1 certification, I got a bachelor's degree in exercise science and also 30 certifications in exercise science. 30. When I became a coach, I didn't just get 1 certification, I got 5, and then a master one. Like I was one that felt like I had to do more proving. I had to get more stuff. And when I started my coaching business, at the time, I'm still a mom of 7 kids, but I was managing those schedules, and I was managing my house, and I was running a dance and a fitness studio. I was also running 4 rental properties and a swim school. I was doing all of these things while also trying to create a successful coaching business. And long story short, I remember one night I had a million tabs open on my computer. I was completely stressed out of my mind. I was depleted. I was exhausted. And I remember just sitting here thinking, there's got to be a better way. Like, I don't think success comes from doing more. What I learned was that success comes from mastering less, by being amazing at one thing first. And I remember that night really reorganizing my life. And with my dance studio, I started clearing the plate. So with my dance and fitness studio, I got a manager that could help me. With some of my rental properties, I streamlined the processes behind the scenes while also hiring a management company that could handle my Airbnb that I had. And I built what I call the foundation of the power of one. And that's what I want to talk to you about, is the power of one, which is also in the book that we're all collaboratives on. And it's about making 5 decisions for 1 year. And by doing that, everything can change in your business. So as I mentioned, this is specific to the woman who is under 100K, or maybe she just pivoted and now she's starting a new offer. This is for you to gain traction so that you can become that $1 million coach. So the very first decision, the first one, is to pick a lane, one dream client. And when I say dream client, I'm talking about the client you absolutely love to work with. Like, what is her name? Where does she hang out? What does she love to do? Why is she your dream client? Like, why can you speak to her so well? Most people are way too broad. I know that I was when I first started. And when you are speaking to everyone, and I know some other coaches have hit on this today, but when you are speaking to everyone, nobody actually feels seen by what you're saying, and your message won't land. And it's one of the very biggest mistakes I see coaches and entrepreneurs to do. We have to be specific, and making content today is more important than ever, because if you make content that just is supposed to land for everybody, nobody will hear it. Your ideal client is not going to perk up and be like, wait, I think she can help me. Content that's kind of want, I call it, is I help women transform their lives. Sweet. What does that even mean? Or I help women feel confident. I help people heal. That's great, but how do you do it? Who is the person? What is the problem that you're being solved? What does she think about when she's showering and she can't turn off her brain, or when she wakes up at 2 a.m. and she's freaking out? Because if you can talk to her in those moments, and if you know how to speak to her in those moments, then you will be able to stand out. The woman who wants to lose her last 10 pounds is different than the woman who is trying to save her marriage. She's different than the woman who is building a multi-million-dollar company while secretly wondering why she's still feeling empty. So when I got specific about who I served, everything changed in my business. And also, I felt more free. I felt more lifted. So speak directly to your dream client and know exactly who your dream client is. The next one, number 2, is one core problem solved. So this is another problem that I see a lot of people make, is they talk about vague outcomes instead of your painful problems that you can absolutely find a solution to. I help women grow with confidence, or I help women with wellness, or I help women in entrepreneurship. By the way, I talk a lot about women because I serve women, but people will never buy vague. I want you to think about the last thing you bought and how you came to buy it, especially if it came from an ad or something you saw online. I bet it was very specific. Confused people do not buy. People buy solutions, and Hannah talked about this so well. They want to know exactly, what am I going to get out of this? It doesn't matter, when people put together, this course has 10 modules and this and 100 hooks and they make it really big. You feel like, as a coach, you feel like, I'm giving so much here for this price. But the problem is people want solutions and they want them quick. They're going to buy speed. They're going to buy transformation. They're going to buy results. If someone can get you there faster, you're going to want to buy from that person. So look at how you're packaging your offers and understand that when you can focus on one core problem and you keep it results driven, that's what's going to help build the needle or move the needle. But no one wakes up at 2 a.m. Googling, or, I call it my best friend chat, saying, how do I expand my consciousness? Or how do I expand my potential? That is not what they are saying. What they're saying is, how do I get clients? How do I stop? How do I lose the next 10 pounds? How do I stop ruminating in my head about the conversation I just had with my husband that I keep having? How do I stop self-sabotaging? Because I'm in the same exact spot as I was last year and I'm going freaking crazy. How you talk to them in that way is what's going to speed up your business. Your message has to speak directly to her. Are you talking to her as if you're sitting next to her? Right now, especially with AI is incredible. I use it for so many things, but there's AI, which means there's so much fake out there. There's so much people also copying other people's strategies, and maybe they're not working for them. There's a reason why. We're going to talk about it. But your message has to speak directly to them so that that problem that's stealing their peace and their sleep, they know that they have a solution. The solution is you. So the next one is number 3 is one signature offer. This one is what changed my business completely, because for years, I thought that if I had more offers, I'm going to make more money. Now, I would be posting about them all the time, all these different offers. I'd be posting about this one on Monday and then that one on Tuesday. And then I would send DMs about this one. And I totally agree. I know that Hannah at the top or at the beginning talked about having an ecosystem. What she talked about is different than what I'm talking about, meaning that before you have this ecosystem, you have to understand who you serve best and how, and what your core offer actually is. For Megan, it's branding. She's a branding strategist and she's amazing. For Hannah, it's visibility. Everything that she does supports her business of visibility and helping women. Before I did this, I had so many mini courses. I was so good at creating stuff, so awesome at it, but I wasn't really putting my offer out there in a way that people wanted to buy it. My website looked amazing. I had memberships. I had VIP days, memberships that nobody were in, by the way, because people were so confused by what I was offering. I had boot camps, master classes, all these things. When they feed each other in an ecosystem that works, that's when they work. But at the beginning, you need to focus and stop splitting your energy, because that split energy is costing you so much money. When I was thinking about this and putting the 5 ones together of how I was going to restructure my business, I started thinking about big brands like Nike. Nike became known for shoes first, known for toothpaste first. Victoria's Secret was high-end lingerie at the time, right? All of these brands have now created more things, but when you think about those names, you think about that one thing. Like even She Rises, we know what that means because they're always talking about that thing. All of these big brands, they didn't try to become everything overnight. They became known for one thing first. And that's when it clicked for me that I was doing everything wrong. And I had to shift and change things. Your one signature offer needs to be refined relentlessly. It needs to become an asset. If you focused on your offer for 1 year, instead of chasing the shiny objects, instead of like being like, oh wait, this doesn't work, I guess I pivot. This doesn't work, I'm gonna pivot. If you focused on your core offer for 1 year, your offer would be 52% better after 12 months, which means that you would be in a category of 1 because you would keep fine tuning it. You would see what works and you would shift it just a little bit, which means that you would become highly desirable and you would stand out in the industry. And you would become recognizable, you would become referable, you would become scalable. People would begin associating your name with the transformation that your offer provides. And then once you have that strong foundation, then is when you expand and you start adding more, but not before. Because if you dilute your focus, you will dilute your results. Number 4 is one marketing system. And this is where I think people overwhelm themselves because we are inundated with so many different ways to do things. I'm going to tell you something a lot of people don't. Every marketing system works. Every single one. Paid ads, Facebook groups, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them work. But you have to stay with them long enough for them to work. But does this sound like you? You're growing on Instagram while you're launching your podcast, while you just started your YouTube channel. You're building out your LinkedIn profile and you're posting to it all the time while you're running ads. You're posting TikToks and you're creating funnels, right? It's like, ah! Your brain can't handle that. And also again, fragmented energy is going to cost you. It's exhausting when you're trying to do all of the things all the time. When you are just trying to get to your first 100K, focus on one marketing system. And by the way, it doesn't have to be hard. You just need one marketing system that you can master deeply. For some, it might be that you're on Instagram, you do some reels. Reels are a great way to get yourself out there, by the way. You do reels, you send them to like a DM. ManyChat is also awesome if you're not using it, but you send them to a DM and then they book a sales call. Maybe you have ads and you have a CTA from the ads that leads to your offer and people buy your offer. Maybe it's a LinkedIn and you have outreach and then from there you get on calls. All of them work. And every single person is different. So some people are like, oh, I hate sales calls. If you're under 100K, I'm going to tell you, like, get on sales calls. Okay. You might have to do that for a little while. But if you don't like your marketing system, then that is something that you need to think about. If I don't like my marketing system, change it. There's a million different ways you can do your business, build your business, do something that lights you up. Most people don't fail because the strategy didn't work. They fell because they switched strategies too often. They were always pivoting, which leads me to my number 5. So number 5 is 1 year of mastery. And I think this is probably the most important one because it's the one where most people quit or they pivot too soon. So as entrepreneurs, we have the shiny object syndrome. Most of us struggle with it. I know that I do. Where we chase strategies, we chase what other people are doing. We chase whatever new shiny object is out there. And what I see in the industry is people pivot way too fast without even giving it a try, a lot of times for even 30 days, because they don't see instant results. They're comparing their self and their newer business to someone who's been in the industry for a really long time, to the Amy Porterfields, to the Jenna Karchners. Like they're looking at all of their DMs and their likes and their comments and all the things. And so because you didn't see results off the bat, you pivot. I'm telling you not to panic. I'm telling you not to pivot or start over, but stay the course. If you do this, you will get results. Many people quit before their mastery has time to even compound. Real growth happens in stages. And I call it the 4 F's pyramid. I like acronyms. So if you follow this formula, the goal here is at the end of the 12 months, you will be at 100K a year. You will be able to follow each one of these. Each one of these gradually goes 3 months. Then you move into 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, or 6 to 9, and then 9 to 12. If you can understand this, if you can wrap your brain around this and be like, okay, I'm in my first 3 months. This is okay. I'm doing good. This is what this looks like for you. During the first 3 months, you will get a few clients. A few, not in your first week, not in your first month, over the first 3 months. You will get a few clients. You will get a few testimonials. You will get a few signs that it's working. And as long as you have those few signs, you understand I can keep going. From month 3 to 6, I call it the flow. Your messaging sharpens, your system is getting cleaner, your confidence is growing because you're in flow. You feel like things are flowing. The next one is 6 to 9 months. I call this the flood. It's getting exciting because you've stayed consistent and you've stayed the course. Referrals are beginning to happen. Momentum is building. You see that this is working. People start finding you faster. People are DMing you faster. Remember, this is 6 to 9 months in this process. It's not day 1. It's not day 30. It's 6 to 9 months. But what you can count on by month 9 to 12, you can have the fire hose. And this is where your demand is like the demand for you is exceeding capacity. So you're able to raise your prices. You're able to create wait lists. You're able to hire more people to help you. Your authority is compounding and it's exciting. But most people never get to fire hose because they quit during few. Consistency compounds your confidence. And after that, mastery changes everything. Now, before I end, I have to hit on strategy. is not the only thing that works here. Not only thing that works, but the only thing you need. You also need energetics. You need energy. And this is where a lot of businesses miss this conversation. And some of the coaches today have mentioned this, which I was like so excited because I am a huge believer of this. Strategy matters, but strategy is not enough. Strategy is the structure. It's like the house, but energy is the electricity that keeps the house running. One without the other doesn't work. You need both. So even the people with the best funnels in the world, if they don't have energy that matches what they are putting out there, they're going to feel misaligned, and other people that are trying to find you are going to feel that. And that's where I do a lot of my deeper work. I call it the unblocked method. And it's all about awareness, alignment, and abundance. Awareness is when you tell yourself the truth. You actually see things for what they are. You see the patterns that are running in your life and your business, which, by the way, it's usually both. You'll see it in your life and you'll see it in your business. They mirror each other. Awareness is when you become aware of like what's actually blocking you. Why am I at this same income level? Why am I not growing? What am I actually holding back when it comes to my offers? What am I not saying? What beliefs am I holding on to that are keeping me from scaling, from keeping me from showing up in my power? It's like when you get super aware of everything that's going on. And as you're aware, you can move into what I call alignment, which is like when you're in alignment, things feel good. So a huge indicator is, how do you feel when you're posting your offers? How do you feel about the work that you're doing? Do you wake up excited? Are you lit up? Would you buy your own offer? Do you think your offers are the best things on the planet? Like you're like, these are so good. Because if you feel that way, then you're probably in alignment. If you don't, it might be time to pivot a little bit from that offer, change it, make it a little sexier, do something that's like makes you lit up again. Excitement shows you that you're probably on the path and you're aligned. Abundance is all about what happens through the process. And Dr. Frantonia talked about this too. It's like abundance is not about gripping things tightly, or it's not a destination that's ahead of you. It's not scarcity saying, I'll relax when the clients come. I'll relax once I make the money. Abundance is, I choose that posture now. I am her now. I choose to be her right now. My favorite question is, who am I being right now? Am I being the woman that's like full of scarcity that doesn't really believe in my offer or believe in what I'm doing? Or am I being that badass queen that is making waves? Like, who are you being right now? How are you showing up? Because as you show up as her now, you will attract abundance into your life so much faster. Your internal identity, who you believe you to be, is going to happen long before your external environment mirrors it. You have to match. You have to give your external environment time to match your own internal environment. Believe it here now, and your external will come. Abundance doesn't flow from force. It's the opposite. It flows from alignment. So in closing, here's what I want you to remember. You do not need more noise. You don't need more complexity, more proving like I thought I had to do as I opened earlier. You need focus. So choose your one, your dream client, your problem that you're solving, your signature offer that makes you stand out like a pro, your one marketing system that you're going to stay with, and your 1 year mastery or 1 year of mastery. And let depth create that authority that you have been trying to force, because we were never meant to hustle our way to success. We're meant to lead. So go lead and create the impact that you want to create out there. Again, my name is Amy Sanders, and I'm an identity coach and creator of the Unblocked Method. So go get unblocked and show the world like what you're all about. And that's what I have for you.
Oh my goodness. I love listening to you every single time. And I have heard you speak so many times, and I always walk away with so many nuggets. But the thing that really caught me today, even though I wrote copious notes, was what lights you up. because when we are lit up by our own offer, we're not afraid of objections. We're not afraid of price point. We're not afraid of any rejection or anything else because we know it excites us and lights us up and we can talk about it forever. Is that what you were trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say. If you're excited and you feel like you can just like burst it, then you're on the right track. If you feel like you're like, oh, I have to do this again, that's not it. That's not the energy. Time to do something different.
I love it. So for anyone who is struggling, they might not be honed in on what lights them up yet. Thank you, Amy. I can't wait to get you back for the Q&A. And anyone who has any questions about any of our speakers so far, please put your questions in the comments because we have a couple more speakers and then we're going to be doing another Q&A. And I have tons and tons of questions, so I'm sure you do, because the amount of knowledge that's in this room is amazing. Okay, can I please have Corin Norton come and join me? Woohoo! Look, I see you moving.
Hello.
Oh, isn't technology wonderful when it works?
When it works, it has been horrible this afternoon, but I keep getting in to hear the nuggets from everybody else, and I'm so energized.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I am going to introduce you to our audience, and then they can gather all of the nuggets of gold from you. Corin A. Norton is a seasoned counselor, organizational consultant, and leadership coach with more than 20 years of experience supporting individuals, teams, and organizations. As the founder of KN Consulting and Antigua's only certified employee assistance professional, she is deeply committed to emotional wellness, leadership development, and helping people thrive personally and professionally. Today, she'll be speaking on Start Where You Are.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction. And ladies, and I'm sure we have some gentlemen listening too, it has been amazing so far. So as I do a lot of coaching with persons, I have a few persons who are at the entry level, but the majority of the coaches that I coach with are persons in the sort of a mid level. Their goal is to go between like 80 and 100,000. And then I have a few persons who've hit six figures, they've plateaued, and they're like, okay, we need a new strategy. This is not working. This is as far as I can go. And you would have heard other coaches talk about set point. And so I have them at all levels. And so when I say start where you are, that's because I cannot really use a cookie cutter approach to everybody. And so for those of you, whether you're at the beginning level of coaching, the middle, or more seasoned, it's important for you to pause, figure out, okay, this is where I am, and I'm going to start where I am and move upward to where I want to be. So three things I want to touch on briefly today is the perfectionism. And the good thing about this is that I myself have experienced some of what I help to coach coaches with. And so that brings a level of flavor to it because I understand a lot of the challenges they bring to my office. So we're going to look at a little bit of perfectionism. We're going to look at the imposter syndrome, where the person reaches a particular level and feels like, am I really supposed to be here? Do I get to play in the big leagues? I don't think that's who I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm from a small town. I should be satisfied where I am, and I should not feel like I need to be there. And I'm like, yes, you need to. And then we're going to talk ourselves through the self-doubt that we all face from time to time. So some of the common things that I hear from the coaches when they come in is they say, listen, you know what? Where I am, Corinne, it's okay. My parents didn't do so well. The other colleagues I went to university with didn't do so well. So I feel like I'm okay where I am. When I get a little better, when I get a PhD degree, I feel like then I'll be able to raise my fees, or I'll be able to add this new program. And then we have to tell them no, start where you are. So we have a lot of coaches who they're overthinking. They're overthinking everything. My website is not good enough. And they start one offer, and then before the offer even grows legs and walks, they go and throw in another offer, and then they have a third offer. And pretty soon they're all over the place. And if you yourself as a coach do not have that clarity, then how are you going to guide your clients with it? How are you going to pass it on? How are you going to teach it? And so we need to help our coaches stop overthinking so much. Stop overthinking. And for those of you listening, stop overthinking. Get a piece of paper, make a plan, stick with it, and just start. Another tactic some of the coaches use when they're ready to go into, six figures and beyond, they'll start delaying because they're self-sabotage, and they start delaying. Okay, I am not ready yet. And they give you a myriad of reasons that all sound good. But because I have a therapy background, oftentimes I'm able to peel back the layers and ask key questions. What are you afraid of? Who in your life ever told you that you need to just be satisfied where you are? And then we'll find out a lot of the times the voices in their head could have been a parent. A parent might have said to you, if it's someone you're listening, a parent might have said to you, oh, you need to be just satisfied with what you have. We didn't come from anything. And so that limiting belief helps that coach to self-sabotage and feel like I can't go any further. And they keep delaying and delaying about actually starting. Some of them hide. They hide. They don't put themselves out there. Some of them start comparing with others. And then we have to tell people, there's no need for me to compare with Amy or Megan or Dr. Frantonia, because they have a different journey. They have a different clientele. They're in a different geographical location. Who you need to compare yourself with is who you were a year ago. Are you growing? Are you moving forward? Can you look at your books? Can you look at your bank accounts? Can you look at your records and see where you have grown? And so comparing yourself with other coaches, that is not really the answer. And so there's a quotation I've read somewhere. I don't remember where I read it because I read things from all over the place. And it said, done is better than perfect. And we also have some persons who they're trying for 6 months to have a perfect offer, and it's not working out. So we say to them, listen, get an offer, figure out who your ideal client is that you want to serve, figure out what your offer is, and put it out there. Start. You will have some growing pains. And so when you start with that one big offer, that second big offer, based on the feedback of the client, you can now take that feedback into consideration, pause, pivot, clean it up, and then you come again. But if you never make that big offer and you're sticking with the $27 offers and the $47 offers and the $97 offers, that worked 5 years ago. But if you want to grow, you want to become a 7-figure coach, then you're going to have to put yourself out there. Put the big offer out and put it out, see what the feedback is, and then you know where to go. But if you never ever put it out there, then you'll never know how far you can actually grow with it. And so we really, really try to encourage people that done is better than perfect. So at least start. We have some clients who've made it up to a particular point. And again, they're fearful, feeling like imposter syndrome, who am I to be doing this? And I don't know if any of you have read or heard that speech by Marianne Williamson that talks about, you have the right when somebody is asked, when you ask yourself, who am I? The answer is, who are you not to be able to achieve that? What is stopping you? What's standing in your way? And sometimes you're going to have to repeat your affirmations when on your way to building confidence. You're going to have to repeat some affirmations, and you're going to have to tell yourself, I deserve a beautiful life. I deserve a wonderful coaching practice. I deserve to thrive. the hustler mode is not sexy anymore. We need to move to thriving. We need to move from surviving to thriving. We need to be able to command respect. We need to be able to reach a place where we can be wealthy, and we cannot be afraid of that. And so when you ask yourself, who am I? Oh, I'm just somebody from, again, a small town. This is what I hear. I'm doing better than everybody else in my school, so I'm okay. And I'm saying, but maybe you were born for more. What do you want in your heart of hearts? And if you really want more and you have that hunger for it, then you have to tell yourself, I am deserving of it. I am deserving of it. And clearly, as we tell the clients to talk about being deserving of something, we also know that the work has to be put in. So we're not standing on empty promises or shaky ground and say, oh, I'm deserving of being a millionaire and I will have a thriving practice in 6 months, but you're not doing the work. So we need to be very, very clear. And this is something I tell the coaches. Yes, let's do the affirmations. Let's have the aspirations. Let's have the big dreams and goals, because this is what I'm there for. But you also have to do the work. And sometimes it gets to the point where I've had somebody, a coach, come in. We've had 3 sessions, we've had 4 sessions, we've had a master plan and a strategy session, and then they call me up. Okay, and I'm like, no, you're not having another session until you come back to me with a plan, or until I've seen you've done some action. And so we have to hold our coaches accountable for getting the work done. It can't be talk shop all the time. Start where you are, do something, and then we can talk again. Some people come and say, oh, but there are some persons who are better than me. Again, we're going to always have competition. As a coach, you're going to always have competition, but you have to be able to identify what are your unique strengths. You have a message that nobody else has. You have experiences that nobody else has. And so instead of thinking that these people are better than me, and the competition is tough over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been such an increase in coaches, and that's okay. That's okay, because you know who you are, you know what you offer, you know the results you're willing to help your client get. And so we don't need to focus on people being better. Some clients even go as far as asking, will I be enough for the clients? And I say to them, listen, the people who find you and need you found you for a reason. Now, if we're saying there are 50,000 coaches, and I'm just giving a number, in a particular country or a particular area, and that client picked up the phone and called you, it's because that person wants you. And so when a client calls you either because of a referral, somebody would have said to them, listen, I work with her and she is amazing. Or that person would have seen a post you put on Instagram or something and felt like that message resonates with me. When a client calls you, that's not the time for you to be saying, why me? Am I enough? Am I good enough? Can I do this? Because that person would have chosen you. And if you do not have that confidence in yourself, then it's going to be difficult for you to transmit it. You don't need to have a perfect website. This is another common thing I hear from coaches sometimes. You know what? Miss Norton, I think I'm going to stay where I am, because I don't have a proper website. I see these other coaches on Instagram having 12 posts a week. I'm only doing 2 a week. So I don't know if I can make it to that level. You don't need a perfect website. You don't need perfect branding. You don't need a perfect strategy. You need a strategy, yes. You absolutely need a strategy, but it does not have to be perfect. So what do you already have? You have the desire to help people. Listen, that's amazing. You have a desire to help people. That means you put your whole heart into it. That's the best thing ever. You get excited about the fact that you have a client coming and you're going to do some deep work and you're going to help this person overcome this and work on that. That desire and that enthusiasm, that's already a great starting point. So use what you have, all the experience you've garnered in your life. Whether you've worked at H&M, in a store, at a gas station, in corporate America, wherever you've worked, every bit of experience lends itself to you having a thriving practice. Nothing is lost. The good experiences, the bad ones, the difficult ones, all the experiences that you've had come together to make you this unique bundle of helpfulness that you're able to guide other persons. Your passion, your resilience, your resilience, you've been able to bounce back from this, that, or the other, pick yourself up, move from a 30,000 a year job to a 120 a year private practice after being laid off and living for 3 months in your car. That story is going to inspire someone. So you don't have a website. The website is not going to do anything for them. But hearing what actually worked for you and how they can probably do some of that themselves, they feel as if, okay, this is somebody that gets me. This is somebody that understands me. She's been where I have been, where I am now, and she's at where I want to go. And so your resilience, your story can make a big difference, your wisdom, because you have something valuable to offer. And when we're working with people who need to have more confidence, it's not going to be empty. Like we said, if you feel like you need to strengthen yourself, there are a bunch of courses out there. You've heard us in the Q&A talk about all the various the coaches that have motivated and inspired us. I hope you make notes of some of them. Somebody mentioned, I think, Zig Ziglar. We have Jim Rohn. We have Madam Walker. We have Maxwell, Simon Sinek. There's a bunch of people. So you can do the research, learn as much as you can, do your certification, and that way you feel stronger. So we're not saying start where you are and just give from an empty cup. We're saying start where you are, take one step forward, learn, strengthen yourself, make sure that you have persons around you who where you want to be. Another thing with those of us who are trying to grow a practice, if you want to be an eagle, and I'm going to ask this question, if you want to be an eagle, is it okay to be spending all your time with chickens? Because if you're spending all your time with chickens, how are you ever going to be an eagle? And so perhaps you might need to consider a mentor who's already in the 6 or 7 figure league, somebody who's where you want to be. If you're just hanging around with the people that you're feeding them all the time, then there's hardly any growth for you. I know we want to be helpful, and I'm not telling anybody to get rid of your friends or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that if you want to make a trajectory, if you want to go to a certain point, find a person or two who's already there and say to them, listen, can I buy you lunch? Can we have a talk? Maybe they won't be able to do a full mentorship with you, but at least understand what works. And everything that works for them might not work for you, but it's important that you speak the language of the persons who are where you want to be. Confidence does not come. Some people feel like, when I become confident, I'm going to be able to charge $300 a session. But for now, I'll do 120. That's not how you build confidence. You don't wait for confidence to happen to start doing the thing. You do the thing. And as you do it today and you realize it's okay, and you do it tomorrow and you do it next week, your confidence starts to build. So confidence comes with action. It's not a matter of you act only after you become confident. Even when you're nervous, you have to be able to do the thing. So start with what you have and grow from there. And again, a lot of people compare themselves because they look at other people, again, websites, you look at somebody's LinkedIn page, their social media posts, and they think this person is doing the most. That's fine. What the thing about social media I've discovered is that I live in a small island, right, in Antigua, and I know a lot of people because of the work I do. And when you look at somebody's social media page, oftentimes it's not reflective of what you know the truth to be. So as a coach, it doesn't mean that you have to look at somebody's social media page or website to tell you this person is doing way better than you. A lot of people have pretty websites with no conversion. A lot of people post on Instagram and they have, 3,000 likes, but that does not necessarily mean it converts into finances. So don't focus on that. Focus on your own path. Are you growing? Are you doing a little better than you did yesterday? Have you improved your technique? Are you moving forward? These are some of the questions for you to ask yourself instead of looking at where somebody else is. I think most of you have heard about Brené Brown. She's an incredible podcast host. She's written a couple of books. And she said the first time she got on a stage to do public speaking, she was nervous. She was stuttering. She had hives all over her body. She was trembling. She was having anxiety. But did she turn back and leave? No, she did it anyway. In spite of the fact that she was having major stage fright, she stepped on that stage, said something, and then left. And then by the next day or the next week, people were calling her to come back. But she was nervous. It was her first time. So while growth is uncomfortable and we're not at the level of confidence we want to be, you're going to have to show up and speak at that conference even when you're nervous. My colleague earlier said that she went to this huge conference, she got her 250 pay, and she got up and somebody gave her an opportunity. She could have said, no, I'm not ready, I'm not at your level, I'm not a public speaker. She could have made all the excuses in the world, and maybe it would have been justified. Maybe it's the truth. But sometimes, in spite of the fear, you got to get on that stage. You want people to know you. You want them to know the service you're offering. You want to increase your wealth and your income, but then you have to increase your visibility. So if somebody does not know you exist, then they can't call you. So you're going to have to get on the stage. And sometimes you're going to have to get on the stage without being paid for it, but you're going to have to call and you're going to have to say, listen, I heard you have this event coming up. I know you're going to have 800 guests. I am willing to give a 30-minute talk. And you go and you give that 30-minute talk and you make your hook, you leave your pamphlets, you give out your cards, and that makes a difference. You go on, and again, as my colleagues have said, you let people know in that 15 minutes what you can do for them. People are
Thank
always
you so much, Corin. You have dropped so many nuggets, and the passion that you bring is absolutely contagious. I want to say thank you so much. First of all, thank you for taking care of your tech issues, because this was so worth it. And I cannot wait to bring you back for the Q&A that we're going to have. So thank you so very much. Wow. We're on fire here with all of the amazing speakers that we've got, and all the coaches and the nuggets of information, and we are not done yet. We are going to bring our last speaker up now, Erica Elliott, who I absolutely adore. And then we're going to wrap up with a final Q&A where we have some amazing questions coming up. So I encourage you, if you have a question, put it in the comments. But let me go and introduce Erica to everyone right now. Erica Elliott is a licensed counselor with more than 30 years of experience helping individuals heal and thrive. She is a certified brain health coach, certified trauma therapist, and an integrative health professional specializing in neuropsychology. As the founder of Warrior Heart Healing Hearts and a co-founder of Mind Shift Lab, Erica empowers individuals with brain-based and holistic tools that integrate mind, body, and spirit for lasting transformation. Take it away, Erica.
Thank you. My honor. And first, I just want to say thank you for all the amazing women who have shared today. I've gained so many nuggets as well. And so trying not to repeat all the things that they've already said, I'm going to stick in my lane of a little bit about what happened to me on this journey. So I want to just ask you a question. Have you ever felt worn out, stressed out, so burnt out that you just didn't think that you could make it anymore? 66% of the population report feeling burnout. The World Health Organization has said burnout is at epidemic level. This is an area we really do have to focus on. And for me, it happened in real time a few years ago. I had a body crash and a brain injury. When that happened, it created such havoc in my body and brain system. I had myalgia going throughout my body. I had migraines from hell. I had, if I can say that on here, I had, um, I guess I already did. I had fatigue that was so horrible. I had difficulties even walking across the room. I had memory problems, word finding problems, and stuttering. I was having panic attacks, and I was laying on the couch in so much depression, thinking, I don't know if I can do this the rest of my life. And I called out to God and I said, God, I don't think I can do this the rest of my life. And what I heard back was, it's not what you told your daughter when she almost died. It's kind of like a jolt that I needed. It's true. When my daughter almost died several years back, almost 14 now, I helped her rewire her brain, her life, so that she could heal from what she was going through. I wouldn't let her believe that she could that she could die. So with that, I realized it's true. I need to create a better life for myself. I need to ask myself a different question. By this time, I'd worked with thousands of people, even who had brain injuries. But when it's you, it's a whole lot different. So for me, I was thinking to myself, Lord, I keep pushing, I keep pushing, I keep pushing. But what I realized is that wasn't working anymore. I had to do it differently. So I asked a different question. I said, okay, God, if this is my lot in life, how can I have a better quality of life? And with that, then I started bringing in some other questions into my life and realizing maybe it's not in the hustle. Maybe it's in a 5-degree shift. Now, some of you sitting there might be thinking 5 degrees doesn't sound like much, but I'm going to encourage anyone who's on this, listening to this, you're trying to build a coaching program, a counseling program, a business of any kind, and you're feeling like it's not working out. Even if you have a health issue, ask yourself, what's a 5-degree shift that I could do that might lead me into that right direction? And with that, I began doing micro steps into those right directions, using some formulas that I put in my 7-step blueprint that you can get access to. After we're finished, you can get that on our website. But in those steps, I started with tuning into the breath. And I just want you to take a second to tune into the breath and ground yourself. Be still and know that I am God. Reminding myself it's only in stillness that I can listen. Listen to my body, listen to my brain, listen to my soul, listen to God. It's only in stillness that we can really, truly move into figuring out what's the best thing for me now. And it is our brain that is the key to our currency. It's the key to our confidence, and it's the key to our connections, because it's our brain where everything starts. What happened for me is I was so focused on what I couldn't do. I was so focused on the pain. I was so focused on grieving for what I wasn't able to do. I couldn't see past it. And in brain science, we say where focus goes, energy flows. So I had to create a different focus point, and I had to do that by grounding. You see, we all have a vagal system that runs through our body. And when your brain is in fight, flight, freeze, when it's in survival mode, you cannot create from survival. And you can't create from old patterns. So it's really important to tune in and next move into alignment. So that next area of alignment, I asked myself, if I woke up tomorrow and my life was exactly how I wanted it to be, what would that look like? I encourage you to do the same. With that, I wrote out those things and then asked myself, what's one step that I could take to move closer to that? Not 10 steps, not through push and hustle, but doing micro steps every day. I tell people all the time, practice makes permanence. We're not looking for perfection. It's like when you go to the gym. When you go to the gym and you start building muscle, you start with weights, and at first you don't see any. And if you stop that day or even 2 weeks later, you might not see the results that you want. But creating those micro steps and you keep going with that, there's compound interest. And before long, you start to see the definition and you move into the life that you really want. Well, the same happens with neuroplasticity, with rewiring those brain patterns. You see, I was wired for performance. I was wired believing that I had to push to make a healthy career life. I was wired that I just need to suck this up. But every time I did, I would fall down more. So in this place, I want to invite you to ask yourself, what do I want for my life? And what are some intentions that I can create? Then the next step is action, because faith without works is dead. I could believe all day long that I was going to be successful, that I was going to heal, that I was going to have a life that my dreams. But without action steps towards that, I was never going to get that. Tuning in, though, with that alignment, with the awareness of my body, I was able to every day move into what's going to be better for me. Maybe I need to take a rest. Maybe I need to hydrate. Maybe I need to eat. Maybe today's more about working on the medical things that I need to work on. Maybe it's working on my business. Maybe it's just 5 minutes in my business. Maybe it's 30 minutes in my business. Maybe it's 3 hours in my business. Work at the level you're able to work at in those micro steps with those intentions. And I promise you, you can change your life and change those patterns so that you can have the currency, the confidence, and the connections. So a 5-degree shift. I want to explain this a little more. Before I had a brain injury, I started my pilot's license. And in the pilot industry, when you're learning about planes, 5 degrees can be huge. When you set your plot, that 5 degrees could mean you landing exactly where you're supposed to, or it could be that you land in a place you didn't want to, or it could be that you crash. We actually had a commercial pilot rent one of our planes. My husband and I had an aviation business, and he forgot to put in a stop for gas. Especially in small planes, this is a pretty big deal. But guess what? Your brain and body work just like that. Our brain is like a computer. What we put into it, we get out. What kind of questions are you asking yourself? What kind of belief system do you need to rewire? That's what we do at MindShift's Lab. In MindShift's Lab, we believe that one shift can change everything. And with that, I shifted and changed and created the life of my dreams. I literally took a yacht for over a year on the ocean. I wrote my first book, international bestseller with She Rises Studios in 18 categories. I've now written in 20 other anthologies. I now speak all over. You see, that one shift can change everything. When you realize that maybe it isn't a major shift, maybe it's a 5-degree shift. Maybe for you, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, but you just don't understand where I'm at in my life. Start there. What do you want? What's keeping you there? What's the limiting belief behind that? Corrine said that earlier. What is the limiting beliefs that you're dealing with? You see, our programs that our brain is programmed to, it is a set of patterns that they say we work off of about 90% of our life with. Ooh, snap. Is that what you really want in your life? That means you have to do hard work to rewire. No different than lifting weights to build a muscle. You have to build new neuroplasticity, new patterns in your brain in the area that you want. That's why it's so important to have a coach or counselor or a mentor. I had my own coach and counselor when I was going through healing my life. Actually, I went through a few different coaching programs that lent for me. I also went through, even though Hannah says she's not a coach, her incubator coaching program with Kathy. So I know that it's important to have coaches who are teaching you in areas that you're trying to learn. I didn't know anything about writing a book. I wanted to learn. You want to find people that are doing the things that you want to learn about, and then hire those persons to be that coach, that counselor, to rewire your life to have a blessed, abundant, healthy, wealthy life, because your key to your success for your brain, your currency, your confidence, and your connection is your brain. Sometimes I miss some words because, yes, I have a brain injury. And so, as you notice, I continued with that because no matter what, confidence is built through momentum. When you continue to show up, even though my brain is not completely healed, I kept showing up. And as I showed up and as I rewired, my life got better and better and better. And I really do have a life of my dreams. I'm not waiting till I retire. I go travel to different islands and different countries, and I get to speak and I get to do the things I love. I get to write. That's what I want to do in my life. I have a business partner that we created the Mind Shifts Labs with, and we go around to businesses, to organizations, and to churches, helping them rewire for health, wealth, and success. So I invite you, if this lands for you and you want to rewire your life and your nervous system, I would love to join you in that. Or with any of these other amazing ladies, wherever it lands is just right for you. Be blessed and be a blessing.
Wow. What a way to finish up this summit. Thank you so much, Erica. Your inspiration, your vulnerability, and showing the humanity of what you've gone through. Also, I was pretty excited to hear about the year on a boat. Wow, I want to know more about that. But thank you so much for everything, and I'm going to ask that we bring everyone back up because as we're getting everyone here, I just wanted to say before we go into our questions. Thank you, Hannah and She Rises Studios, for amassing these amazing women, coaches, and authors together with this anthology, because this moment in time where we have the summit is wonderful, but the book will stay with them. And they can gather those moments of inspiration in those moments when they need it most. And what you've done with this anthology, I am grateful. Before I go to my question, Hannah, do you have a question you'd like to ask the panel?
I do, because again, I'm not a coach. So I've created the platforms that coaches can share their businesses, right? The different types of coaching that everyone's talked about today. And Amy said something that was like a gut punch. And not to me personally, but just as an overall. Want want. She said, when coaches introduce themselves, I'm a life coach. I'm a transformational life coach. I'm a health coach. Wah, wah, wah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hear this every day. And so this is why I say I'm not a coach, because I don't want to be wah and try to, it's just a thing that she triggered. And so then I was like, there's a reason why the wah happens, right? So a lot of coaches that exist and birthed from trauma. Oh, all the heads shook right now. Okay, so hopefully I'm not going to offend anyone. But the reality is this. There's a difference in becoming, like, taking this trauma, right? So something occurred, because as coaches, business owners, typically it comes from a place of you went through something or you saw something that you could provide a solution to, right? But how do you talk to the up and coming coaches, right? How do we inspire these men and women to implement, to step out of the trauma and the wah into a coaching practice that actually moves, that scales, that grows, that educates, that provides that velocity, the return on investment, the transformation, the return on energy? That's my question.
I can go. Hopefully it comes out the way I want to for my brain. But when you said that, I immediately thought, so my husband and I both come from really horrific divorces, both of us. And my background before, the reason I was even in that relationship with my ex-husband was because of my upbringing, which was also very unhealthy. And when my husband and I started dating, he said, we either get to use this as a stepping stone and a platform to move on and become something greater, or we can let what's happened to us define us forever. And so we've now been together, I can't remember if it's 12 or 13 years, but it's been, one of those 2 years. And we continually talk about that you get to decide if you are going to let what's happened to you define you for good or for bad, for touching more lives and teaching them what you've learned through the process, or continually staying the victim. And so for the new coaches, or for the up and coming coaches who know that you have a story to share, you have something you want to help the world with, let it be like this is a stepping stone. And you were given, my philosophy is that you were given this opportunity to help the people coming before you. And that's why you went through what you went through. Like, I'm able to coach so much deeper because of everything I've been through. And so although I haven't liked all of the stuff I've been through, the betrayals, all the crap that's happened, I do understand people at a level that you're only ever able to go as deep as you've gone, right? So because I've been able to go deep, which I know that my work's never done, but I've been able to coach people in conversations I never even thought I would have had because of that. So use it as a stepping stone to move forward and to be able to grow, and that everyone has a story to share and everyone has experiences that can help other people on their journey as well.
I think what I'm asking is, like, and I know, Frantonia, I know you're going to answer this, but this is kind of what I mean. So, like, there's one thing to open a business from that specific area, right? But healing and scaling are two different things. That's what I'm getting at. I'm trying to pull it out. So basically, it's like, women, you can heal or you can scale, or you can do both, but it's the systems. It's like the strategy that everyone's talked about. You guys brought up mindset, methods, mastery. So we're seeing this coaching economy emerging daily, but the ones doing the coaching often aren't healed yet. That's kind of where I'm going. All right, Dr. Frantonia, I see the wheels turning.
So this is such a powerful question, Hannah, and I'm having multiple experiences right now. I am thrilled and deeply appreciative that you've placed this question here in this space. I am also just now, like my eyes just welled up with tears because I'm thinking about two things. And the first one is here's a shameless plug. I am the cover of the May She Wins magazine. And what I'm going to reference, my healing and transformation story is featured in that magazine. So go get your copy of it. I would not be able to do the work that I do today with, at this point, women in 22 different countries across the world had I not done my work first.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is I had to heal every aspect of myself before I could go help somebody else heal those things within themselves. My business is set up in an interesting way. I do both transformational coaching, where I dive deep and do the healing and the shadow work, and then we restructure the business so that it can fit the woman that you are now becoming. As Hannah said before, a lot of businesses are built out of trauma. A lot of businesses are, I always say, I'm gonna keep it PG, but I always say a lot of women have FU businesses. Somebody told you couldn't do something and you're determined you're gonna prove them wrong. And so you build an FU business, right? I have historically worked with a lot of women in the social justice space, anti-racism space. And what I had to teach those women is you have to separate your righteous anger and indignation about the subject matter from your identity, because if you don't, your business will have to be fueled by that anger. And that we know turns into dis-ease in the body.
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many applications I get from people for coaching that I turn down. Because when I get on that discovery call with them or that consultation with them, they're wanting to build a business to help someone do something that they refuse to do for themselves.
Mm.
It is unethical, in my opinion. It is harmful to the masses of people that show up desiring support from us as coaches. And if I can just have you bring it back, bring it really close to you, it is a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot walk somebody past where you have been willing to go yourself. So here's a question I always ask them. So this work that you're avoiding, tell me what's going to happen when you're in session with somebody and they break down around that particular thing. What are you going to do? I've been in a physical space. I'll never forget this, as a retreat. Y'all can tell I'm passionate about this. I'm at a retreat where a woman goes into full breakdown. And the leader of the retreat says, oh, we're going to give her time to get her stuff together. Let's go have a snack. And she left that woman in full breakdown because she sold something she wasn't able to deliver. And so it is critical, especially with all the things going on in the world. I believe that the coaching space is particularly the coaching space around inner work is going to expand massively. The entire world is shifting, and people a lot of people don't have the mental and emotional capacity to walk themselves through the major changes we are about to experience. That is where we get to come into place. But that means you need to be doing your own work. You need to be doing your own work. You need to be doing your own work. That's
Can I piggy bank? I mean, that is beautiful, but can I piggy bank back on her and something Megan said? This is exactly why the training has to be there, because the coaching industries I was trained in, if there was somebody in there that had mental health things, they were like, you know, this is not ethical. So I'm going to go back to what Dr. Frantania said, and it's true. We are not doing we're doing a disjustice. We are doing harm if we are not recognizing that. And so I just want to say to both of you that is so important for individuals to be told, hey, I think you need to go work on this, and then come back when you're through working on that. And then we can help you build a coaching business.
Yeah. Erica, just to piggyback on that, within the last year, I had a client that I had to tell her she said something to me that she was contemplating, and I immediately, like record scratch, this
Yep.
session is about to end. Before you can come back to me, you need to go see your therapist, have them write a letter that they give you permission to do this deep healing work. And she
Yes.
pushed back. See, this is where, as the coach, you have to be grounded in who you are so that you can stand in your power and tell that client that.
Yes. Yes. And I've had both sides. So, because I work on both sides, I'm a counselor on some sides, and sometimes I'm a coach. So sometimes I have referred somebody, because if I'm their coach, I am not going to be their therapist. There is a fine line, right? So I've referred people and said, you need to go seek some therapy for this, and then we can come back to the coaching later, or sometimes dual if it's something different, depending on what they're working on, right? But I've also said that to clients that I'm counseling. You need a coach for this, because you need an accountability person that is really there to call you on when you need to. And that's really what coaching comes into, right? So it's a big difference in the two. And we need to know what that is and be able to help people move into the lanes that's better for them, or both.
Yeah, I need in on this one too. All the piggybacking here, and I love it because it's true. Like the ethics is a really big thing for me, and the amount of people that are like, you don't need a credential to start a practice, that scares me. On a mental health level, on the more practitioner level, like that's not cool. And like Erica said, like can cause real dangerous harm to people when it's not handled appropriately. So the thing I see, especially like when we talk about the trauma space, there's kind of two tracks that I've seen a lot. And track one is like, I went through this. I have this specific health condition. I have PCOS, so I'm a PCOS coach. Or I'm going through menopause, so now I'm a menopause coach. Or whatever my trauma is, I'm going to build my coach niche around that. And you don't have to do that. And that's kind of, I think, where the FU businesses and the businesses that were birthed out of COVID so much kind of do shine. It was whatever I'm going through, I now coach around it. And you don't need to do that. There's a woman in the volume 1 of our book that's like, this is my messy, gross trauma dump thing. I don't want that to be my day-to-day work. And it's okay if you do want it to be that. But I've ended up in weird niches where for one summer I was doing infidelity coaching work with couples. And that is heavy emotions with couples in a group setting, like 4 to 5 couples that are all angry and betrayed and don't trust each other and they're mad. And that's a lot of space to hold. And just because I had a portion of my life where I went through that, I don't want to start a practice around that by any means. So it's definitely something that also, like bleeding into the corporate and team levels with the training and stuff, definitely needs to get into more leadership too, so that the trickle down is more there for everybody that, you're trying to do business with an impact.
And I love the fact that Jen is in the back chat saying, let's end this on a positive note. And I'm going to call that out to the public, because that's what this is. This is positive feedback. We have to be honest, and we can't sugarcoat things, because we want to be real. And we also, like, this is to, number one, inform, right? It's to educate, and it's to bring some things to the forefront, because not one size fits all in coaches, right? I've always learned, hearing in the coaching industry, you need a tribe of, depending on what your needs are at that time in the coaching spectrum. So like, if I want to grow in the mental health part of my life, am I going to hire a leadership coach, or am I going to hire someone in the mental health? Right. So what I'm trying to pull from the question is how do we show and educate, inform, and teach and lead these emerging coaches that it's great, you can open this practice, you can do this, but do the work, right? Do the work. Do what it takes. Did each one of you do the work? Did you get the certifications? Did you take the courses? Did you take the time? You're not building from air. That's why I don't wake up and say, I'm a coach, because I'm not. I would be lying if I said I was, but I'm a strategist. I have marketing and branding. I have all those things, but I'm not a coach. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not meant to be a negative, and it's not meant to deter. It's meant to bring this type of behavior and ethics to the forefront so that we can help these women and men who open businesses from a traumatic experience, but teach them, lead them, guide them, give them the expertise and the nuggets that they so need, so that it doesn't come off as wah, that it's intention is what I'm getting at. And you can seriously be $1 million coach. You do not have to cap yourself at a six figure. I could tell you that. And I'm not a coach. The sky is not the limit, is what I'm getting at.
Absolutely. I absolutely love this conversation. My previous question was, who were the coaches that inspired you? I would like to end this summit by saying that every one of the coaches would have a client that would have affected them. I would like to use Jen's concept of Story Bank and have every one of you share one of your absolute favorite coaching client success story. Jen, you're the
I'll jump right in. And what I think is really great about the discussion we had, and Hannah, how you brought it all around is, when I talked about actually specifically the story bank, I think, and also, who are you best able to serve as the person you once were. So all of those things that we talked about, the things we've gone through in our life, once we've done the work, once we've gone through the healing, you are so well positioned to serve someone who is maybe in that same position. But you're right, we have to go through that healing process first. And for me, the story of my favorite client testimonial, it wasn't even a traditional testimonial where she said, I did this step and this was the outcome. It was someone who reached back out to me and said, I learned so much from you, but the most important thing I learned from you is trying to keep a positive attitude when things are tough, when things are going in the wrong direction, because I tend to be a really down person. And when I'm in a difficult situation, I ask myself, well, what would Jen do? Or how would Jen react? So for me, the feedback was more about being able to change someone's mindset versus they followed a specific step and had an outcome. So for me, that is the one that sticks with me and knows that I am doing good in the world. If I can even help one woman have a more positive mindset and therefore a better life, and that affects her family's life. That's what I think it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys mind if I go? I have to hop off because I have another call I have to get on. My favorite client I worked with is a woman that came straight from corporate, and she was trying to do like all the things with her strategy, copying everybody else's things. And when she was online, she was hiding who her real name was. And because she didn't want to like say her real name. And everything she was building had nothing to do with like what actually lit her up. And so in our first 2 sessions, I completely it just helped her flip things on the head and ask her why are you building it this way? What do you actually think about this? Just diving in just deep on some of these questions. And she was like, I actually feel like I'm so heavy and this is driving, I don't like what I'm doing. It's like, well, why are you then? She's like, well, because that's what everyone in the coaching industry is doing. This is my roadmap I have. I'm like, you don't have to do that. She was really brilliant at storytelling. And so she completely changed her offer completely. And then she showed up with her own name. And because she did that, really quickly, things started falling in line with her and she started having just incredible results. But she felt also the stuff that she was creating was just flowing. It was amazing what she could do in a day, in a week, in a month. I was like, holy cow. She was just pumping out so much stuff that was so good. And because of that, and she was sitting in different rooms, and because of that, her business exploded really quickly. And it was really just because she went from being totally out of alignment to in alignment with who she was and what her real genius was. And so that was my favorite client because it was just so fun to see that she was initially hiding. And once she came into like her true self, what happened for her. And it was just fun to see. I just played this like small role. She did the work, but I just like helped spike some conversations that made her build something she's super passionate about. And she's like killing it right now. So that's my story.
I'll jump in. This is such a powerful question because I think one of the things that coaches need to be able to do is provide social proof, right? So for me, two clients came to mind. One of them is Layla Saad. Layla and I worked together for probably about 3 years, but our very first year working together was all on the inner work. And it just happened to be at a time when there was so much upheaval going on here. Well, not just here, but all over the world. Layla lives in Qatar. But there was so much racial tension going on in the world. And Layla decided to start an Instagram challenge. It was like a 21-day Instagram challenge called Me and White Supremacy that ultimately turned into this book, Me and White Supremacy, that has now been translated into, I think, about 8 languages. There's the young adult version. They're using it in colleges and universities as a licensed course, all from just an idea that sparked during our time coaching together. Layla has now been featured on every podcast I can think of. Gwen, Lord, what is the lady's name? Her kids' names are Apple. I can't think of her name right now. Gwyneth Paltrow. She's been on Oprah's podcast. She's been everywhere. And it all started from her first doing the inner work and then moving on to share that work with the world. The other one, her name is Karen Salt, and I don't have a physical copy of her book, but it's called Hiding for My Life. Karen was a career military veteran who she was lesbian. And during the time that she was in the military was during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And in that book, Karen talks about all of the trauma she endured in the military during that period of time. Again, Karen came to me. She walked through my Take Back Your Life program to do the deep healing from the trauma she had dealt with in the military and growing up, and eventually ended up writing this book that now, again, she's been on CNN. She's been featured on all kinds of shows. She speaks all over the world about her experience in the military going through that. So those are two of the women that come to mind first that have walked through both the inner work, and we've been able to turn that into a business idea or a book.
Thank you. Erica?
There's several that are some of my favorite, but one of my very favorite is a leader who had told me that when he first started using the tools that I was teaching him to get his vagal nerve, toned down, he was like, within not even a week, he was like, oh my God, this is what it's like to not live in stress. Like, it was just it's always a refreshing thing. But what was more compounding is that he said, I started teaching my managers how to do this and having them teach their leads how to do this. And it just, those are the things, because I teach people all the time, is you need to teach these to other people and teach them to the people that you work with, because then you create a whole system of everybody knowing the same language. Even him and his wife learned the tools and began to use them, because when everybody's doing that, then you create a new ecosystem, right? Then everyone has the same language. Everyone knows that, we do these things to help us for our mental health, for our physical health, for better performance and productivity. So it becomes a language where, unfortunately, it seems like in the mental health field, everybody wants to go, I don't even want to talk about it. Or, if they do talk about it, it's few and far between. But what we really need to do is create a space where, whether it's coaching or mental health, that it's safe to say, hey, there's a tool that I use and it's really great. You might want to try it. And then when they do that, that's the best part. It's that ripple effect. That's when we change the world.
Thank you so much for that. I want to thank all of the speakers for joining us here at the summit. I want to thank especially all of you who have been here engaging, watching, whether it was live or in a replay. If you are considering coaching or in a coaching, I encourage you to pick up your copy of the $1 Million Coaches book and get your own copy. Yes. Thank you for having us. Look at all these copies. Connect with the speakers. Make sure you connect with them on social media, at their websites. And if anyone has touched you in a way, I encourage you to reach out and do the inner work so that you can bring the best of yourself to the world. Hannah, do you have any final words to wrap up this incredible, incredible summit?
I would just say that my favorite clients are everyone who's taken advantage of the platforms and utilize them to elevate their voices. I have so many success stories that it would take days. So when I'm hearing someone say, I'm throwing this in, I'm on the cover of My Story Is Here, I was in this room, I'm speaking at this, and the list goes on and on. That's what lights me up. And that's why I'm not a coach, but I can strategize and help the coaches by bringing their expertise out so that everyone knows that they exist, or the right people know that they exist. So that's what I love about it. That's my favorite part. And just thank you to you for being a phenomenal host. Thank you to our behind the scenes woman today, Lisa, who has been extraordinary with the back end, and to every speaker and contributing author that was a part of this. And the way to keep this momentum is by connecting with every woman in the book, by securing the book for yourself and sharing the book, and connecting with all of these incredible individuals who brought this to you. So that's it. Thank you.
Hannah, before you go, there was a question. Where do they buy their book?
You can get it at your favorite retailer. It's in all of them. So if you want to go to Amazon and grab it, you can. If you want to go to Barnes and Noble and grab it, you can. If you want to go to Walmart and grab it, you can. You can have it delivered to your door. If you prefer to go out, it's there.
Wonderful. Thank you, all these incredible speakers. Thank you, She Rises Studios. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, make sure you catch the next She Rises Studio Summit and hear from additional speakers on all sorts of incredible topics. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Dr. Franconia. Thank you, Erica.